6 weeks, 5 rounds, and 6 hours of breakneck racing, and it all comes down to this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Multi Sprint Series, Season 5, here at Racing Club International. This is round 6. This is the finale, getting ready to go into the final hour and 20-minute sprint race. A fight for a championship is on the line. We are at the Bahrain International Circuit. It has another name. I just refuse to use it because, quite frankly, everybody in the entire world knows this place as Bahrain. They know it as an F1 circuit. They know it as the home of the 8 hours of Bahrain for the season finale of WEC. Are we mimicking that here tonight? Maybe just a little. My name is Jack Mays. It is my pleasure to welcome you back to another evening with us here. I'm joined, as always, this season by Mr. Adam Reed and none other than Ted Edwards as our broadcaster slash race director slash guy that makes us look pretty. Adam, we're wrapping it up. We're getting ready to come to the end. I mean, this is the end of your first full season of LMU as a commentator. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good to be in the commentary box once again. Really looking forward to seeing what these drivers are about. You know, LMU has definitely been, a real step in the right direction. I'm sure that this game has got a really, really bright future in front of it. So, I think there's going to be a lot to kind of relish with what we have at the moment. But yeah, the Bahrain International Circuit's very much a fantastic, circuit that was first opened in 2004, hosted many races, and in fact was the hottest Formula One race ever recorded. So there's a lot of tricky sections around this circuit, especially for the downhill section of the of turn 9. So easy to kind of lock a brake usually, but I kind of wonder how what will be the prep going into this. For a lot of drivers, it will just kind of be practice. Some may have used this circuit a little bit more than others. If no matter kind of where you are, I think there's some drivers that are going to be quite relaxed, laid back about this one. I think there's going to be some that are a little bit more kind of pumped up, with a little bit more left on the line.
Yeah, this is a little fun RCI multi-sprint tidbit for you. This is the only circuit that has appeared on every calendar for seasons 1 through 5. We've come here every time. It's almost always delivered I shouldn't say almost always. It always has delivered a really solid race. It's been a multi-time season closer as well. So we're sort of used to seeing it in this light. A lot of these drivers who've been around for a while are used to driving it. So I think, Adam, you're right. It is going to be a little comfortable for a lot of them. Some of the newer folks that maybe haven't been running it as long, maybe still feeling their way around this 15 turn circuit. It seems simple on paper. Adam, I feel like you look at the track map and you're like, all right, sure, whatever. It's kind of looks like there's a lot of slow corners and a lot of mid-speed corners and whatever, but it's the way they chain together that maybe makes Bahrain feel a little bit trickier than one might expect.
It is one of those really tricky circuits. I think you're kind of looking at the technicality as well. Especially kind of that middle section where you from the top of turn 4 all the way probably to the corners up at the top right of the circuit. So you're really looking at those kind of points to where the technicality of the circuit really comes into play. The rest of it is pretty much just slipstream and straight line galore here as we ride on board with Christopher Strippen, who managed to take a win last time out in the LMGT3s around Fuji, ahead of his Lexus teammate. Of course, that being, I believe he's, is he here, in fact? No, I don't think he is.
I think Mr. Vaselli, we did crown him a champion last week. He got it done in Fuji. He went 4 for 4 in the first couple of rounds and narrowly was defeated by this man last week. And maybe I think taking a well-needed break, perhaps, and though I think that might release Christopher Strippen to absolutely hammer down the circuit. He does go to provisional pole with a 2-minute point two. There's 3 and 3/4 minutes remaining for the LMGT3s to qualify, and that's, I feel like, unfortunately, has been the theme this season. A lighter LMGT3 grid than the hypercars. I sort of generally prefer that because I think hypercars are just cool as hell. But no, a lighter grid for them, and I think that's going to follow into qualifying. I was about to say a new face with Geisler, also in a McLaren. He had a bit of an incident going off circuit. It's coming out of turn 12, between turn 12 and 13. Very tricky to get it right. And then here's Fabian Schmidberger coming back around on a hot lap, and it's just like, way really good reactions, Adam, to avoid a catastrophic incident. But that's definitely some frustration. That's a lap ruined.
It is indeed. That's not going to be the most ideal situations, whatsoever. As the track continues to evolve in grip here, Fabian Schmidberger, who is currently sitting in P5 at the minute, 2.5 seconds down. So it seems like a lot of drivers at this moment in time in the pits. There you can see the temperature, 35-degree air temperature, 26 degrees track temperature. So you're not going to burning up the tires whatsoever. Yeah, you are, having those bands of rubber being very, very warm. Christopher Streppen, the Belgian driver, who is at the moment in time on a really, really good run of form, heading in towards the last corner here at the Bahrain International Circuit. Of course, 15 corners around this fantastic lit-up circuit. Where will the 747 Lexus go over the timing beam into the 159.6? To be a bit more specific, goes, I believe, I was going to say 9/10 ahead of Rybecki, but Mumkus goes a little bit quicker than his fellow BMW driver, and goes, I believe, maybe up to 3/10, 4/10 even, but in front of Rybecki.
Yeah, they're getting a lot closer generally to the 59s than maybe I was expecting. A little tease in practice. It was Dauber that was, I think, maybe 6 thousandths off of a 159. Granted, he was on full fuel and had, let's say, a helping hand vis-a-vis a hypercar, giving him the bump draft throughout the entire circuit. It was very entertaining. We were all having a good chuckle about it. But it seems that now he's missing that extra horsepower. Well, I should say he's going slowly, but not really. It's still an incredibly good lap from Dauber to be sitting in fourth. It's showing how competitive it is at the top and how quick these guys are come qualifying pace. Dauber is on his final lap thereabouts. He's not quite up on himself in sector 1, and the sector 2 timing beam should be fairly nearby, so that should light up. If it lights up green, he's good. If it lights up purple, he's great. But it's just green, but still a 10th and a half up, so he's sort of a net 3/4 of a tenth up on his personal best. So not enough so far to put him ahead of anybody for third or second. Christopher Streppen, the car right behind, is going quicker. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2. Joe Dauber going around 15, which it is such a deceptively difficult corner. Hypercars are now entering the circuit as Dauber is going to get ready to cross the line. And Verstappen, I suppose, didn't feel the need. It's track limits. That's a fun new thing. It tells us when people are invalidated, so we no longer have to guess. I will forever praise the people who developed the broadcast tool that we use, and every time I see something new, I can't help but get excited. But Adam, it does look like there's only a couple cars left to go. Rybecki in the 59s, though, but it doesn't really seem like anybody's going to be challenging for pole position.
No, it doesn't. I think Christopher Streppen has been incredible in that Lexus. He's just really had a lot to play with. He's been very close with of course, a champion Martin Lorang, but we still have Fabian Schmidberger still on a lap time. He's sitting second in the championship, so nice and rosy all for him. But You know, he's down there in 5th place at the moment, so can he put himself maybe onto one of the front 2 rows here? And after the qualifying, he puts himself a little bit on the grass, but unfortunately for him, he will not be able to make up the time. He lost all of it in the last sector, and what about turn here in towards the last corner of 14 before that little kink of 15 that will breeze him right on through. The pure race number 92 will head towards the line as he now looks to improve from 6th place. Will he be overtaking Schmidberg here? I'm not entirely too sure. He will not, and will stay down there in P6.
Yeah, that's done and dusted for all the LMGT3s for qualifying. Now it's down to the big boy hypercars. No surprise, it's immediately firing on board to Cadillac. Those of you who are unfamiliar with our streams and unfamiliar with our broadcaster, Mr. Ted Edwards, there's 2 things he loves in life. It is a Mustang and it is a Cadillac. And since we don't have any Mustangs, we're just going to spend all the time we want with a Cadillac. But these drivers getting ready to prep their tires, sort of still in the warm-up cycle. But we'll still go ahead and take you on board for a full lap. This won't be quite full pace. Marko Badowski's still feeling his way throughout the circuit, but enough representation and enough enjoyment to talk you through the circuit. For those who are a bit unfamiliar, it is a very, very long run all the way to top gear, almost hitting the rev limiter. You got to be brave on the brakes. It's either at the 150 or at that little road that sticks out on your left. You do not want to take too much of that apex curb. You want to take a lot of this one. So get your run all the way down towards turn 4. Another of the big braking zones. You're pretty much going to be hitting the brakes just before the 100 board. He actually hits it at the 100, dropping down a couple of gears, turning in as early as he dares, tickle the exit curb, and then we head into the S's section. It's just full commitment. As quick as you dare, as high or as low of a gear as you're comfortable with. Braking zone's hard to spot here. It's sort of around the DHL boards, but not really. You don't want to run too wide on the exit. A little bit of a squirm, but that exit curb, super bumpy, will slow you down. Traction control will get angry. 9 and 10, probably the 2 most difficult corners on this circuit in terms of getting it right, but Badowski very cleanly through, picked his braking point, and no lockups, nothing too scary. Back straight now, turn 11, another heavy commitment corner. It's all the way down into second. Tell those tires aren't up to temperature. He's just really not at full commitment now. 12, it's gonna be flat by the end of qualifying. Not quite flat now. Turn 13, I like to call it a rental car corner because there's a bunch of Avis boards and I use them as my braking point. But Badowski, super clean lap so far. I don't think it's gonna be a record breaker, but it is a wonderful representation, breaking between the 150 and the 100 boards for turn 14. Coming through 15, not running it too wide, not going into a gravel trap like a certain Kevin Boss did that one time. But he's going to come across the line. Not super quick, not super representative at him, but still a tidy lap, and I think that sort of teases good things to come.
Yeah, it was probably one of those laps that they put on the board as a banker. You know, a banker basically gets you on the timing board and just gets you a lap in, because of course, you know, there could be possibilities, especially in real life, of red flags, of yellow flags where you have to slow down, but that kind of gets ignored. In sim racing, we now see some of the fast laps coming in there. It looks like George Barr in the Aston Martin. It's an Aston Martin front row, so I'm sure I can see a lot of green hearts around the world saying, stop the count, stop the counts. We have a front row for Aston. Look at that, Dean Schmitz getting out the way in, Dion Schmitz in his Toyota, having to avoid one of the Inception McLaren liveried cars.
Yeah, that shouldn't be out there, I must note. That's a bit curious. I think they're possibly taking the... I'm going to assume that that's the GT3 of Robert Geisler. I know that Fabian Schmidberger has been around long enough to know that that's a no-go. Perhaps accepting they're going to get disqualified from qualifying in order to get some more practice, maybe? Kind of, sort of. They're still out there getting in the way of some of the hypercars. So, Adam, I don't know how much I like seeing it, but, well, it's something that's happening and something to get these guys on their toes just a little bit more. The lap times are really starting to come in now. Ones that are more representative of pure pace. It really takes 4 laps, 5 laps to get up to full racing speed, to get those low temperature tires up into the good window. But it's Smits on the pole at the moment, and, and as we're sort of putting in poll representative times, Adam, why don't you sort of talk him through who we're expecting up there, and what that might mean for the championship?
Exactly. The championship is the most important thing at the moment for a lot of drivers. You know, you got Zeno Van Driesche there in second. He's put himself into a really, really strong place. And then Martin Vaselli down there in ninth at the minute. You know, not too kind of confident in this position at the moment, because you know the last thing you want to be doing in a championship fight is putting yourself down on the 5th row of the grid. What about Milan van der Beek? He's down there in P5. So the kind of the championship contenders are very much split here, with Dion Smits right at the top there. This is Billy Octane in the Toyota, as Milan van der Beek goes and does the 146.661 there for the Aston Martin car. And that Valkyrie will be absolutely screaming its V10 down the long straights here. 3 of them to be exact. Of course, there's also a smaller one on the back straight. Billy Octane will head for the timing line. And what would he do? Cuts the B and goes to P5 there. So I think a small improvement from the Breton. But we'll have to see how it all kind of pans out here. Kevin Boss has been slowly improving here. It is number 31, all blue Peugeot. You know, I want to kind of cast this over to you, Jack. How do you think Kevin Boss has done, you know, over the last couple of races? It's been a pretty strong season, would you say, for him?
I say, yeah, he's been on a bit of form. Kevin's a guy that I race with very often. He and I have probably tackled just about every endurance race, every special event that has been had in LMU for the past sort of 6 months. So familiar with him as a driver, but he and I both don't really push hypercars very often, don't sprint race them very often, but he's really found a good balance in this season with how he's sort of strategizing with fuel and how he's working out his pace. I think had a bit of damage on the car, and well, it's just yeah, that's okie doke. That's just sort of the McLaren maybe not having any idea where they're going. And usually in a racing situation, you'd be like, well, that was fine. The McLaren doesn't really need to get out of the way. But it's, we're sort of having a bit of a gremlin at the moment. Oh, I think we got it. But normally in a racing situation, you think, well, he doesn't have to get out of the way. But this is qualifying, and that McLaren shouldn't even be there. So you do have to get the heck out of the way. And unfortunately for Kevin, we do have limited tire sets. So he doesn't really have new tires to go on, Adam. He's really just going to have to drive it around on the older, well, not older rubber, but a bit flat spotted rubber, maybe saying some words that could not be said on a broadcast. But no, great run of form for him. The Peugeot, up until very recently, was absolutely the strongest car in LMU. It is still quite good, but he's been doing very well to get really good results out of it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you need. You know, there comes Dion Smits to the stops on the track there. That's a wide moment there for Martin Vaselli. Currently sits 4th at the minute in his all black Ferrari 499P. One of the more dominant cars in the World Endurance Championship scene, but you know, will he be able to do it justice? Because we've got a really interesting kind of championship situation where you've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4, all going after that title. It'll be really interesting to see, you know, who ends with it. I think we all are. We're all interested to see who will kind of come away with the title at the end of it. But Vaselli continued to continuing to push on here. The track evolution is still going up and up and up, but we've hit zero now. Oh, rear locking away there, but Vaselli managed to catch it. Can the Czech Republic driver go after? No, he's going to skip across the gravel and over the line he'll go. It is not going to be anywhere close to the time he wants. He'll be fourth at best.
Yeah, this is some championship deciding stuff. Martin Mares actually splits Zeno Van Drisha and Martin Vaselli, which are really the two that are looking to that have each a hand on the championship. Callum Kerrigan comes across the line. It's a bit of an improvement for him, but he's sort of been struggling in the Ferrari a bit. And honestly, he's probably going to be pretty okay with ninth. Octane comes across the line. Seventh is as good as it's going to be for him, but ultimately, in this race, what we're going to be looking at is who finishes better than the other, Zeno Van Trisha or Martin Vaselli. Ultimately, that's going to be where the championship is decided. Rius Partez in the Lamborghini puts in a reasonable time as well. That is going to be 10th for him, and that will be qualifying for us. It is about 8 cars separated by less than a second. Always a good indicator of good pace to come, and we should have the full results for qualifying appearing on your screens in just a little bit of a second. We'll see if they break this week. We'll see if they work. It, by the way, is not Ted Edwards' fault. There are, as we say, ghosts in the machine. But at the moment, we have the hypercars on screen. It's Dion Smits on the pole. Do believe that's his first pole of the season. Perhaps, maybe he did it at Imola as well. Don't remember perfectly. I was in the race car that day. Milan van der Vecken puts himself second. Zina Van Drisha third. Martin Mares fourth. Martin Vaselli, maybe a bit of a mountain to climb to go get that BMW, starting in fifth. George Barr sixth. Really good qualifying form from him today. Billy Octane seventh. Marco Badowski eighth. Hoping for a good result for all the caddy fans out there. Callum Kerrigan ninth. And Arius Partez in the Lamborghini is in 10th. And now here's the real decider. Do we have well, that doesn't look right. We thought maybe we'd get there for the LMGT3s, but maybe perhaps not. Because what that's in the words of Ted Edwards, it's really broken. So we'll ignore that though. And uh, pre-race prediction. You know what? Championship prediction, Mr. Adam Reed. What do you think? Is it going to be Vaselli? Is it going to be Zina Ventry? Who's your money on?
It's going to be really close. A lot of kind of riding on, Van Drusha and Vaselli. I'll be really interested to see how, both of them go. Vaselli was really strong in the opening kind of part of the season. 2 wins to the first 2 races is, nothing short of incredible stuff. But, Zeno Van Drisha is coming good in the second part. He's basically done the Uno reverse, I think we would like to call it. 2 wins in the last 2 races, which is exactly what he needs. I think we could be seeing a BMW becoming a champion here in the form of Zeno Van Drisha.
I think you might be right, and quite frankly, no shade to the man in the Ferrari, to Martin Vaselli, because he's an absolute uh, racing genius and a super, super quick guy. But I do just think that momentum has swung the way of Zeno Van Drisha. Here are your standings as we come in to the final round. They are, I could only describe as mostly correct. We do have a drop round that has yet to be applied. Zeno Van Drisha, though, and Martin Vaselli's points are accurate. So that is what the points are going head to head. That's why I sort of say whoever finishes better than the other, because there's that 3 point deficit for the most part, means that the champion is whoever's going to finish ahead. Milan van der Vecken is still mathematically in contention for the championship, though he should have 10 less points than he does. So he's really more in the fight with Dion Smits for third position. Thomas Kauberg is going to finish the championship with 71 points. He is not here this week. He is, however, in the YouTube chat, spurring on his buddies in Flanders Esports. Billy Octane is in 6th. Martin Mares is in 7th. Kevin Boss, 8th. Marco Badowski, 9th. George Barr is in 10th. Martin Lorick, who isn't here this week, but doesn't have to be because the championship is all entirely his, is followed by Fabian Schmidberger, who is going to have to work to hold on to that second place. Wojtek Rebecki, third. Joe Dauber, fourth. Zach Vermack, fifth. Christoph Verstreppen, sixth. Emo Platt in seventh. Daniel Hearn, eighth. Alejandro Barando and Rimvidis Mumkis are in ninth and 10th. Adam, we are moments away, really, at this point before the short formation is going to begin, and we are moments away from calling green for the last time this season. And I'm already missing. I'm already gonna miss it. We're not even over. We still have a race to complete. I'm already gonna miss this season.
We do. I can kind of sense your. I can sense the tears running down your face. Don't you worry. I'm sure we'll have this multi-sprint championship series coming back for season 6. It's been a massive success. With the amount of signups we've had, it's been unbelievable to see. So many drivers have entered this championship. Yeah, we're about to get going as the first kind of wheels start to get moving. I think the first focus for a lot of our drivers will be that run down in towards turn number 1, because if you're too aggressive, you're going to find yourself either going straight on or you're going to be hitting the car on your left. If you go kind of too short, you brake really early, then you're going to find yourself maybe dropping back a couple of positions. If you're like sort of Smith, Van der Becken, Van Driesche, or Vaselli, again, you do not want to be doing that whatsoever. So there's going to be a lot to kind of ride on, especially in this first opening lap. But yeah, we're about to head to green for the final time here in season 5, and what a roller coaster it's been.
Oh, I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen drivers working this hard to put energy into the tires before green starts. Sort of everybody stopping, starting, and having a bit of concertina effect. We should be going green any second for the final time this season. We are green flagging. It's actually a really good start from the Porsche Martin Mares. It looks like, actually, no, here's Zeno Van Driesche down the inside. It's going to be 3, almost 4 wide. A little bit of door banging between Smits and Van Driesche. It's so slow. It's so measured into turn 1. The machine has had a moment. There are ghosts everywhere. It seems that Smits made it through turn 1. Zeno and Milan van der Vecken, the two teammates, fighting now. And Martin Vaselli critically is right up behind the BMW. So if he can hold firm, maybe find an opening here. Sort of found it just a bit. Van der Vecken goes a little bit deep. They're going to enter the S's now. This is when they're going to want to start lining up. You really don't want to be running too wide through this sector if you absolutely don't have to. But that's big for the championship. Adam, it's Vaselli and Van Driesche on lap 1, already one behind the other. And it seems that Wojtek Rebecki, some way, somehow, has absolutely jumped the man to beat, Mr. Christopher Verstreppen, Adam, in a mightily contentious start. We sort of missed the apex of turn 1, but even coming into that 3 wide is something to see.
Exactly, yeah. There's as I said, a lot riding on that first lap, and there's been a lot to kind of contend with. There's still maybe a little bit of nerves out on that racetrack, so I'll be interested to see kind of where the next chess pieces moves come in here. Kevin Boss having a look here up the inside of Callum Kerrigan in the all-pink Ferrari. Boss now on that inside line. Kerrigan will drop in back here behind the rear wing of the Peugeot. He'll have a look once again down in towards turn number 14, so he's not going to give this one up too early, so he's willing to battle all throughout here, because of course he's got nothing to fight for here. He's literally just waiting for the season to finish, and looks like Kevin Boss has dropped so much. That was pretty much all momentum loss, and here comes Marco Badowski looking down the inside line here down at turn number 1, and a bit of a later braking from the Callum Kerrigan there, and he'll fit that right on the outside here on the exit. I think also the Aston Martin trying to get involved as well. You've got to be very careful not to collide in this moment here. It's so easy to do, and that's also George Barr in that red and black Aston trying to have another look, but it's Badowski around the outside.
Yeah, George Barr off to a really poor start. I mean, he started up into 6th. He was dropping down in a 10th. He's sort of making his way back through, but a big critical error for Kevin Boss coming out of 14 and 15. He just I don't know if it was TC getting in his way. I don't know if he had a little bit of a wiggle on the exit, but he was in such a good stead. He was leading this pack, and he lost 3 positions in the blink of an eye. It's almost become a 5-car train now, all led by the big, mighty V8 motor that's in the back of this Cadillac. And Badowski now hoping to maybe stretch his legs, hoping that maybe they might start fighting behind him so that he doesn't have to look back and he can look forward. Kerrigan looking maybe a bit better on the brakes, maybe a bit spurred on by the Valkyrie behind him. George Barr is, well, he's definitely a driver who you don't want stuck behind you too long. He is very, very aggressive and is very good at trying to put you off, but he seems that maybe he put himself off just a bit through turn 13, and it seems like a bit of a missile, that Valkyrie in a straight line. Kevin Boss looked like he was alongside, looked like maybe he had a move there, but wide again for Barr. I think he's making too many mistakes, and now that we're on board, we'll get an idea of who's what in a straight line. The Peugeot, a missile on some circuits, but it just doesn't seem to be this way. The Valkyrie in the slipstream of the Ferrari. Oh, very late move from Kevin Boss, gone wrong. Straight into the back of his friend Callum Kerrigan. George Barr is deep as well. Everybody's going to want those positions back, and I think all but Kevin can do is give those back. Adam, here's the replay.
Indeed, down in towards turn number 1. That's a big move there from Kevin Boss, and that's it's a massive misjudgment. I think, these cars are so heavy. They're not the best on the brakes. It's not like you're in a single seater, which are incredible on the brakes, especially the further you go up the field there. George Barr in the Aston Martin has decided to call it a day there. So we'll have a look at this replay. This is George Barr. He let through one of, I believe that's Jacob Tucky there. That's just a lazy spin. That is a little bit of a lazy spin, and the camera there just looking at him kind of in out of sorrow there. So bad retirement there for George Barr. I think that was not the way he wanted to finish his season, but yeah, Kevin Boss there. I think there will maybe a kind of a penalty to be handed out in that.
Yeah, maybe just a bit. You could see on the replay camera when you're off board, you just saw the giant line of lockup that he had on his front right. Here's where the lead changed at the start of the race for GT3. Sorry, this is later on, so this was more recent. It's Rimvidas Momkis and Christoph Verstappen. It kind of seems like the BMWs have, they've sort of been not great for a while. They've sort of come back good again, and it seems like here tonight at Bahrain, they are absolute weapons on the circuit, as is the Toyota driven by Dion Smits. It's well, it's been rare to see a good consistent form out of the Toyotas this season. If Smits can hold this one out, hang this one out, he might be here to spoil the day a bit of Milan van der Vecken. But van der Vecken now, here's the interesting thing. Van der Vecken and Zino van Drisha are teammates. Are they going to maybe try to play the team game to maybe get Zino ahead and have Milan hold up Mark Vaselli? He's going a bit deep, a bit wobbly. Or are they going to fight this out straight? I have a feeling that they're going to be absolutely fighting this one out straight, but maybe opened up the door a bit, though. Turn 11, not a big overtaking opportunity unless you are the bravest human being on planet Earth. But, there's one mistake at this point. I feel like it shows that there is a weakness. There is sort of a chink in the armor, Adam. And, as we know, this is the fight for the championship. This Ferrari, this BMW, not a whole lot else matters between them. And I feel like it's not something that's going to go quietly, and not a fight that's going to end anytime soon.
Indeed. That's a kind of a battle that's going to happen all race long with Zeno van Drisha, who came into this leading the standing before we had to enable the drop point. And then he's got Martin Vaselli, who is, at the moment running his kind of worst result overall. So he will now look to just try and push on here. But will the BMW have the kind of the arsenal here to be able to just keep ahead. I think that's going to be his main aim here. But Martin Vaselli's going to look up the inside and, you know, give him the eyes in the rear view mirrors. But Zeno van Drescher has got to just hold his own in the minute. Vaselli might try something different here. They head their way down the hill. That's Marco Bitnowski, who's caught in a yellow. And there is an
Oh,
Aston Martin off of that Milan van der Vecken. It is Milan van der Vecken is slow off the hairpin. Has he had a mistake?
I I don't. That's such a like, you know, you get a track cut, maybe you slow down, but for him to be sort of almost stationary for that long is very strange. Think we've got a replay of what might have happened. You can see from the helicam that's Milan van der Vecken just ahead, and well, he just kind of pulls off the circuit. That's a bit strange from him. Maybe playing the team game, maybe letting his guy through, but I think maybe over the radio, or more realistically, over the Discord call, it came. Maybe Zeno said, "Hey, so I don't think you're gonna catch Smits. Maybe he doesn't think he's gonna catch Smits. You're slowing me up because I'm in your dirty air. Do you mind awfully getting out of the way?" And I think that might be the team game indeed. Here's a replay of Fabian Schmidberger. It's out of turn 11, and it sort of starts to go. And in the mid-engined nature of that car, it doesn't really stop going. And he's around, but fortunately not in the way too much. And nobody to be collected. And here's the other one. There was a bit of a howl from Ted Edwards, a rear lock, but immediately fired back up onto the circuit. Had enough room to not have to pay too much for that mistake. Though now the looming Reduce Partez, Partez has actually gotten up ahead, but not a brilliant start for Marco Badowski, Adam. And I think everybody who's had an early race spin, they're gonna be kicking themselves because tires do go off here and flat spots are brutal.
They are indeed, just because of the kind of abrasion of the circuit. Ooh, this is Fabian Schmidberger trying to overtake one of the BMWs, that being Savage there in the Valentino Rossi number 46 livery. Oh, down in towards turn number 14. That was quite maybe OTT from the BMWs, going this way, that way, all over the place. Fabian Schmidberger just trying to find an opportunity here, but I don't know how much that McLaren is, just doesn't seem kind of that same here. He's managed to get a run here down towards turn number 1 here, so should be later on the brakes. There's one thing that McLaren is good at, it is braking, but that BMW is right there. But fortunately for the Austrian driver in the Inception Racing machine, he will go straight on through up into P6 as Dion Smits goes and sets the fastest lap here of this of the event here, 147.7. So that means kind of fuel is going down. Just kind of all about being able to keep yourselves on your tippy toes here. Vaselli still looking right on the rear here of Van Drescher. I wonder if you're going to potentially go for it in towards turn number 4. Still getting into the rear view mirror. Oh, he's going to have a mistake. He's going to decide there on Van Drescher, and round goes Vaselli.
Oh, he's really trying to beat as late as he could have been, but it started to go. Then he kind of saved it. Then he came back into Zeno Van Drescher. That isn't quite championship over, but it might as well be. You can sort of see a bit of a lock in the rear. Maybe would have held it if not for Zeno being there. Zeno probably a bit unhappy. He's like, hey, you did a bit of damage to my car, but not nearly as much as Vaselli damaged his own race. The prancing horse. The team in Maranello maybe letting out a bit of tears tonight, because it was already a mountain after qualifying, but that mountain is gotten significantly taller. I think maybe we've gone from, I don't know, we've sort of gone from the difference maybe of a Mount Fuji to maybe a Mount Everest at this point in terms of mountains to climb. That is a big in the championship, and maybe it kind of means that Milan van der Vecken, Adam, didn't really have to drop back. He didn't really have to play the team game, though I feel like everything all sort of influences each other.
It definitely is kind of one of those interesting moments in this one. this is a quick replay here. Callum Kerrigan, has he had a rear locking? Has he had a spin? Oh, yeah, that's rear kind of getting on the curb there, and rear not liking that, really unsettles it. And then, unfortunately for him, it went round. So the Ferrari having to, once again, drop a little bit back here. Let's now go back to the live action here, where we see Milan van der Vecker in P4 here, trying to make his way past what seems to be Marez, the Czech driver, who's done the last 4 rounds. He missed the season opener in Monza, but he's been on a decent run of form, 9th, 6th, 5th, 8th here. His best finish being at Imola, getting his one and only top 5 position here. So he's looking to be on for a second, but I think at some point Milan van der Vecker will get past that Porsche. I'll probably have to bite my own finger if he doesn't. Oh, the car spin round. That's going to be savage.
Yeah, he fortunately was in like the perfect position to not quite be on the exit, but be very near it, where everybody coming out of that corner. Bit of code brown, but Michael Savage smartly doesn't move at all. He stays right where he is. We're going to see the incident that ended him up. He just sort of gets stuck on the curb out of turn 10, tries to apply the power a bit early, off the rubber just a tad, and well, he does actually pull forward just a bit to get fully out of the way, but just barely enough runoff. We'll see that again. See TC lights are just flashing at him. They're saying, please let off the throttle. And that's just really, really scary coming for him, but smart move. He didn't go backwards. And a nice little spin back around. And he has joined. I do want to say a special shout out to, well, 2 guests that we have in the YouTube chat at the moment. Mr. Jordan Daly, happy to see you here, my good man, and hope you've been well. And secondly, very exciting, at least for me, and maybe as well for Ted, none other than the people who made the overlay tools that we use and we love, the guys over at Broadcast Control in the chat. As a fellow broadcaster, you can't see, but I'm making a big heart with my hands. I absolutely love what you guys do. They helped us out last week when we had a bit of issues with the Stinger and got everything prepped for this week. They're wonderful. Free promo for them if you're looking for a broadcast tool that's just so much better than what LMU delivers on their own. Go check them out. They're wonderful. It gets updated all the time. I cannot sing their praises enough, and I will continue to do it pretty much until the day I die. But back to the race that's at hand. It does seem that Dion Smits possibly dropping back and into the clutches of Zena Vandrisha. I was maybe wondering if Zeno could sort of take his foot off the loud pedal a bit, maybe do a bit of fuel saving. Adam sort of hope that you know, why push, why make a mistake? But I think for Zeno, it's win or bust for him. The championship at this point is as good as his for the moment, so why not try to get on that top step for the final time? And correction, not the team at Broadcast Control, just the one wonderful human being who does it all. Love you very much. But Adam, I don't think, maybe Smits put in that one fast lap, but he may have overdone it a bit, because it seems like he's dropping towards the BMW now.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just doing a little bit of championship contending kind of standings at the moment, but as you was kind of saying, you know, strategy in this is going to be, you know, quite pivotal. You know, you're gonna have to do a little bit of saving here and there in terms, you know, your virtual energy, especially your tires. I think they're going to be, you know, something to really kind of fight against it. So a lot of LMGT3 traffic coming at our hypercars. Down the inside there goes Zeno Vandrisha trying to maybe get something on Smith there. So Smith is just trying to negotiate the traffic as he comes across Christopher Streppen and Wojciech Rebecki. So there you're seeing right in your frame there the battle for the lead, first and second in the hypercars and the LMGT3s. How often do you get to see that? Both of them getting through very comfortably. focus will now head onto the BMW of Rybecki, who has had a really up and down season. He grabbed his first podium of the season last week. So he's going to be kind of a man on the mission. He can definitely, at the moment, be up into P2 in the driver's standings, which is going to be absolutely massive for him. The BMW is going to be really trying to push on forward, but that Lexus, is uber fast here. We've got Parces right in front here of Badowski and Boss here, leading a kind of a troublemaking line here with the Lamborghini. We know how kind of that Lamborghini program has gone, not to very much success, but then the Cadillac here, who's been involved in a couple of instances, as well as Kevin Boss, who sent it right down the inside of this very corner. Here comes Badowski up the inside. Will he be later on the brakes? No, just settles in behind and has a massive twitch to go with there.
Yeah, I thought, like, you sort of get there, you may as well go for a move, but, well, he's, even with that wiggle, a superb run. He's going to try to do it around the outside in turn 4. Is Marco Badowski. He's not all the way through. He looks a lot more confident on the brakes this time, though. Partez maybe not feeling like he wanted to fight that too hard, but now this is a very tricky place. You really need to be patient negotiating traffic through here. You can see sort of Badowski making himself known. Don't know if that was contact with Dauber or just a wiggle, but that's the sort of making your way through. They both did it right. Kevin Boss managing to make his way through on the Lamborghini amongst all the efforts. I was going to say no danger. There's always danger. That could have gone south pretty much immediately, but Ridius Partez, maybe not having the pace, maybe not having the confidence to fight these guys wheel to wheel, but knowing that maybe, hey, make less mistakes in the guys around me, maybe save a bit of fuel, and a good result might be mine. But Kevin Boss now unleashed to chase down the Cadillac, a man who, well, I feel like it was a sort of a long pull down on the commentator's curse. I did sing his praises in qualifying, and well, it's not been exactly the most praiseworthy effort we've seen here tonight. But the next group of hypercars, Adam, getting ready to overtake the leaders in LMGT3. It is on the start-finish straight, so no big drama, but it is anything but a quiet night here in the desert.
Absolutely no qualms there for any of the drivers, unless there's something of note. That's a big old break there from Christoph Verstappen, really gaining on the Lamborghini hypercar, who will swoop now around the outside, I should say, of Wojciech Rybecki. Does he become able to just maybe push on that little bit more now that Rybecki's in a little bit of free air? There is once again another hypercar behind, but we'll take it on board here with Christoph Verstappen through the left-hander and on towards the kind of the two hairpins that approach the circuit. Will we see a hypercar up the inside? We don't. A lot of curb from the Lexus, and is very, very lucky not to be able to not kind of lose on the curb there. Oh, this is going to get a little bit rough here. You've got to maybe try and pick it out here. Ooh. Up the inside goes Christoph Verstappen, and now Wojciech Rybecki finds himself in a very difficult position. Yellow flags at that exact point as well, with Kevin Boss lying on the side of the circuit. He will now look to get back forward, but round the outside comes Wojciech Rybecki. He will try and grab the lead back here in LMGT3, then climb back up the hill. Who will have the traction? Who will have the momentum? It's Wojciech Rybecki. He was a very, very lucky boy, and after all of that, here comes Verstappen once again through 13. And this is a battle for the absolute ages. Down the back straight they go.
I still don't understand how they're side by side. I think a little bit of wiggle from Christoph Verstappen, maybe trying to scrub some speed off, maybe giving praise, but he's going to go for the set into turn 14. A little bit of touching between the two. They both stay on the track thereabouts. But here comes Rimvidis Momkis. He's sort of been behind them. He's been around, but now is his opportunity to join the battle in earnest. Such tidy work from Christoph Verstappen, seeing that opportunity show itself. Multi-class in its absolute most premium form. Here, though, is Rybecki trying to go deeper. Contact for both of them. They both go equally off, and oh, they're getting pushed sort of wide. Everything being left here. And at any moment, I feel like it could all go terribly wrong, but it's Wojciech Rybecki who somehow has retaken the lead. I feel like they passed and passed back at least 3 times, but now there's another BMW joining the fray. This might be this could be the best fight we've seen this season. This is unbelievable moment to moment stuff. Two drivers who are so unbelievably poised. Here's Verstappen. I thought maybe with his line he'd go for it in the hairpin. He's doing it into turn 8. It's going to be, it is a long run down towards turn 9. That BMW seems really, really quick in a straight line, but Rybecki's going to try to hang it down the inside. They're going to be side by side again. This time there's no hypercar in the exit. But it's Rybecki who's retaken the lead again. He just doesn't seem... I've never had to see Christoph Verstappen work this hard. This is unbelievable.
I thought Rimidas Momkus would potentially get involved in this as well, because that BMW was just lurking like a hawk, ready to catch its prey and pick up the pieces, but unfortunately he couldn't do anything about it. There will still be plenty of opportunities, and we already ticked down past into the less than an hour to go mark, and we now see one of the BMWs, I believe, or that may be a Ferrari, just approaching all this. And look at this now. That's going to be a big moment here. Down the long straight we go. Will Momkus be able to do something about this? But that Lexus is just going to growl away on that long straight. Both front-engined cars. It looks like now the Lex is going to get sent to the outside line. Will the BMW of Momkus maybe try something? I think it's just going to hold back. That's the best thing to do. In towards the inside line. Switch back here from Verstappen, but won't be able to get the exit. Momkus will just sit back and be able to maybe get a little bit of a helping hand from the toe here. Running away goes Rybecki. Up the inside now goes Momkus. He's going to have to break his lazy dares here, but sits back inside the Lexus toe here. Really good battle. This is amazing stuff. Probably one of the best battles we've had this entire season.
I think this might be one of the best battles we've had on LMU. This is unbelievable. It was so tactical. I spotted it into turn 1, but Christoph Verstappen, as you sort of normally start trailing off and going back on the power, he reapplied the brake in order to try to get up and under. It didn't quite work, but like it shows a level of racing that we don't often get to see. It's so good. This time, Christoph Verstappen's on the inside, down towards the run, towards turn 9. I mean, if these guys keep going at it for this long, that AMG in the background of Joe Dauber might be the next to join the fray, but he just didn't get alongside the BMW. It used to be a missile in a straight line, and it seems like it's all come back around here at Bahrain. And oh man, I almost kind of wish there was another Lexus involved in here. I kind of wish that Martin Lorick was around. It's a bit of a mistake for Verstappen. He goes a bit wide. He tries to go around the outside. It's Rimidas Momkus who slides on through into turn 13, or at the exit of turn 13, and that's really tough for Christoph Verstappen. He's not fast enough in a straight line, but he's going to have to maybe do doubly the work now. Here's Kevin Boss. We saw him on the exit earlier, right when this fight began. We'll see what happened. Is it just too much throttle? Yeah, it's just too much on throttle. He touches a bit of curb on the exit. Car is already unsettled. Tries to catch it and gets a good view. There they go. That's the start of the fight. That was 5 minutes ago that this all happened. This is Fabian Schmidberger. We lost Fabian Schmidberger moments ago. Second spin in not a long time. I think is going to end Schmidberger's season in a bit of defeat. I think struggling maybe a bit too hard. And as we say, as my good friend Callum Kerrigan likes to say, when the fun stops, so do you. If you're not having a good time in the car, you don't have to keep driving. But it's a little 360 for Billy Octane, a little Spinala for the Bongo Tech car, but I think I was going to say maybe finally we can take a breath at him, but I think maybe we got 45 seconds till things kick off again.
I think we will have a little bit of a breather in this battle because, Rebecca's now in a comfortable position. Momgus will just kind of start analysing the rear of his fellow BMW. Verstappen might want to get back in the position, into position to maybe start attacking, but and how are those tires going to be, because he's going to have to slightly back off here. Now we rejoin the battle with Martin Vaselli in third. We've got Morez in P4 and Milan van der Vecker just in P5 as well. So this is a big old kind of tussle in the podium spots here. Vaselli at the moment came into this second into the championship with of course, Mares down to 7th, so he's going to be in the catalyst amongst the pigeons here, because it looks like Van der Becken is also involved in this kind of title hunt. It'll be, some really tough kind of opportunities. He's going to have to do a lot of work here, but there's still a small chance that the Aston Martin can maybe take the title in all of this, but he's in probably the worst position to do it as well. He's only had 2 podiums all season, the opening round at Monza and then Imola. So he's a little bit of an Italian maestro, in all honesty. So finding himself in the Middle East is a little bit too far from his kind of stomping grounds. Smith set the fastest lap once again there in second place, 147.602. It's strong stuff there from the Toyota, but it seems a little bit, it seems a little bit fizzy in this little battle. Not too exciting, but not dull whatsoever. I think there's still some brawling left in this race.
Oh, absolutely. And even though Dion Smith's just put in the fastest lap of the race, he no longer has the lead. There's Milan van der Vecken. Another mistake from him going super deep. And we do have the replay of when that lead changed hands. I do feel that it might change hands again before all's said and done. Zeno is behind. They're going into turn 13 here. And is it because of the GT3? It is. It's because of the McLaren. Dion Smits, it's the opposite of what we saw last week at Fuji. It's the up and under going around GT3. You sort of get boxed out. You sort of get stuck. You have to brake almost out of panic. And through goes Zeno Van Drisha. Another replay for Billy Octane. And there's Marco Badowski just behind. Oh, he just doesn't really look planted. He's into the gravel and a little tap of the wall, but nothing to require surgery, shall we say. But yeah, he takes that apex curb, unsettles the car into turn 6, and he goes around a bit of a bump, but knowing Billy Octane, maybe just sort of switching it off and getting back going. That is a full 360 for Callum Kerrigan, a full set of flat spots for him. And as the man himself says, when the fun stops, so do you. He is going to DNF, get a bit of a better idea of how this happens, even though the camera did a great job of tracking that car. Wonderful stuff. But that was coming down towards oh, there we go. Now we're in a good view. Ooh, very early through there, and maybe a bit mistakey on the inputs. Hey, that's an Alpine. We haven't seen one of those in 5 million years. But surprise, Alpine cameo. Not on the circuit though, so don't even worry about it. In fact, I don't even know who that is. Ah, it's Jordan Navarro. Of course, he's the guy who's sort of he's made the Alpine famous, at least for me, on RCI. But Adam, it seems the attrition rate at this in the sort of past 10 minutes has been coming thick and fast. Mistakes are easy to be made at Bahrain, but it seems that, oh no, it's Octane. As I'm talking about everybody maybe getting a bit tired, maybe running out of juice, and it's Octane that has to end up in the garage.
Yeah, unfortunately for him. Let's have a look. Is it a spin up the hill? Yeah, it just goes on him. In what is basically a straight line here. Yes, you kind of maneuver the car, you shift the way, but be probably down to throttle and kind of the tires. It would, of course, with the kind of the way this kind of works, you sends kind of signals and sensors to certain tires to kind kind of which lights up. I think you have a better explanation of it there, Jack. But you can maybe explain to us after. But it looks like Geisler's into the pit lane already. So the first round of stops potentially coming in a little bit earlier than we expected. So we'll have to see what happens in this sense. Gets moved back to his grid box, and I wonder how long this is going to be in the pit stall, because I think, yeah, you're gonna have to feel that up right to 100%. You've not really had much time. You've had just over 30 minutes into what is essentially an 80-minute race. So you're now going to have to go 15 minutes, which is quite the long way.
Yeah, I mean, Geisler could do it. You could absolutely do 46 minutes in a GT car if you really have to be asked. You can push these cars to about an hour, depending on the circuit. As he sort of seems a bit confused and bewildered coming out of where the pit exit is. It does just sort of seem like Robert Geisler is. He's definitely new to this championship. We have yet to see him before. Maybe still a bit new. Maybe getting his feet wet in LMU. And by all means, come join us here and you learn the ropes. Figure it out. Find your way to pace. Find your way to greatness. And I encourage everybody who, if they're sort of thinking about maybe trying out sim racing, LMU does seem a little bit daunting, but I just think it's the best out there right now for any form of endurance, any form of multi-class racing. If tonight isn't a good enough showcase of what there is to experience on this sim, then I don't know. Go drive Gran Turismo, I suppose. And that's the fight for fourth, just on the inside of them. That's Milan van der Vecken and Martin Mers. It seems like maybe van der Vecken might have a bit of a run here as the leaders grouping back up yet again. And yeah, it is Milan van der Vecken. That straight line prowess that the Valkyrie used to be a missile. Then it was very slow. And now it's sort of track dependent on whether it's going to be quick in a straight line. But Milan having a bit of a strange race, sort of dropping back early on, but having a bit of fun, making his way back up to fourth position. We're back to the fight for the lead in LMGT3's, Adam, and well, they're no further apart. And quite honestly, looking at their virtual energy, there's not really any standouts. I do feel like, though, Rybecki, if he can hold these three up, he is going to lose in the pit lane. He's just got too little energy compared to the two. He's down 5% on the pair, but I wonder if you were Christopher Strapp, you have a really good sense of what these BMWs are like to race with. You probably have the best idea of how these BMWs are outside of the two that are driving. What is your strategy? I sort of see two options, which is push as hard as you can and try to get it done on track, or maybe back off a little bit, maybe fuel save. But if you were in Christoph's seat, where would you what would you think about doing?
If I was Christopher Streppen, well, I think that you're in a little bit of a tough position. I think strategy would be definitely down into this. So if I was him, I'd try and just keep on the back of these two BMWs, unless that there is a kind of a deficit where maybe it might be the case the BMW is a little bit stronger than the Lexus around this circuit, and if he's got that knowledge, then just got to try and keep his best to stay within the tow here of BMWs. Maybe save a little bit, just a couple of ounces of fuel, and then maybe try an earlier stop compared to the rest of them to try and come out ahead. Remember, it's small margins we're talking about. The entire kind of spread of this group is less than half a second. You're now less than 4/10 at some points of this race. So we're talking about very, very minimal margins upon this. But yeah, for Verstappen, just try and stay within touching distance of both of the BMWs. If you spot that Rybecki is starting to pull away, you've got to just go over for Momkus in that case. So you can't afford to really hold yourself up at all in any parts of the stages of this race. We're kind of really going through that maybe second phase where we've had all the excitement from the opening part. We've had the hypercars go past the LMGT3s for the first time, and now we're kind of into that maybe lull zone where we're just waiting around for the first set of stops here. Marco Badowski streams on past 1, 2, now 3 of them. So I think there's been some really, really positive stuff here from Verstappen. He just needs to continue to focus up. You know, there's been so many drivers amongst this field that have, you know, lost the rear or, you know, found themselves, you know, off into the into no man's land. But overall, there's still plenty of opportunities left in this race. You've just got to kind of stick with your gut and really work with the cards that you were dealt.
Yeah, and we have the virtual energy on the screen, and as I am huge numbers nerd guy, I like talking about virtual energy. I like talking about fuel saving, and we'll start with the 3 cars on screen. They're sitting at 3 different points of virtual energy. It's clear that Rybecki, if any fuel savings happening, it is very clearly the least being done by him. I think Kevin Boss maybe having another spin again tonight. It's really, really not going his way. Suddenly, a Lamborghini appears. Lo and behold, Iridius Partez hanging around. And while I'm talking about him, I'll take a quick aside and shout out Mr. Jacob Tucky, who in the YouTube chat before this race said, half the DNF lap 1, I'm going to do a Grosjean. And if you aren't aware of what he means by that, it was 2019, Romain Grosjean at the circuit, opening lap. He went into a barrier at about 250 million miles an hour. His car exploded, and he just kind of walked away like nothing happened. It wasn't really like that, but it was extremely dramatic, and he's still racing. In fact, a lot of super quick drivers, I mean, Billy, Callum, and George Barr all have made enough mistakes where they're no longer driving. So shout out to him for keeping it together this long, and I really hope that I now haven't set the curse on. But back to the energy, clearly Rybecki not saving as much as the other, and I would expect generally that the Christopher Schreppen would maybe have the better on fuel saving than Rinvidas Momkis. The Lexus is sort of known for its ability to fuel save, even though it is a naturally aspirated V8 engine. The BOP is in such a way where it does a really good job at saving fuel. But because Verstappen spent so long trying to overtake the BMW, while Momkis was able to fuel save, it set him back a step or two. So right now, if they were to pit this moment, Rinvidas Momkis almost certainly is going to come out ahead of not just Rybecki, but also going to come out ahead of Christopher Verstappen. So Verstappen has got some work to do, and he's playing it right now. I think he's playing that long game. He's playing the strategy game, but he's really got to take another step towards fuel saving, as if we're looking at the, I guess, most fuel user, it is the Porsche, the 104 Porsche Hearn down in 5th. He's coming towards the end of his fuel tank, his virtual energy tank, and while the car is thirsty, I think just not doing any fuel saving, just sort of relying on pure pace, which absolutely nothing wrong with that. But now that I've finished yapping, shall we say, about fuel, we can get back to the job at hand, the enjoyment that is. Martin Vaselli is now up to 2nd. Dion Smits is now down into 3rd, and this is the move that made it happen. This is the replay of the overtake. I wonder if we're going to see a Toyota backwards somewhere. This is coming up to turn 13. That's very, very deep into 13. That's about a mile deep. I'm wondering if maybe he had a bit of a moment, maybe a bit of a slide coming through the fast sector. And Adam, that'll do it, Adam?
Yep, that's going to be it. That's, unfortunately for Dion Smits there, a big costly mistake there. Oh, that's going to be a horrible feeling, that sinking feeling, knowing you've really kind of lost it. Remember, this is our pole sitter that we were talking about, and he has dropped right down to P4. But for Martin Vaselli, it is absolute dreamland for him at this moment in time. You know, there's been some really impressive drives. Zenov Andrisha is a man still on a big old mission here. Schmidt's going a little bit too deep there in towards turn number 9. Still right behind them, Ilan van der Becker to hopefully try and work something out. It looks like also Joe Dorber is now into pit lane and serve his first stop, because we're now just at the 37-minute mark. So expect pit stops here. It looks like Savage has gone round once again in his Valentino Rossi caped livery.
Yeah, we're going to see now another replay. We're going to put Kevin Boss on the spot yet again, see what happened to him, with him, where he was involved. And that's Richard Whittle ahead. That's the Porsche between. And oh, that's a really big incident. He pulls out off the rubber, stabs the braking pedal a little too hard, and well, he shags it into his good buddy, Mr. Whittle, his rival, shall we say, in the fuel-saving race. And it's not getting any easier for the Peugeot driver tonight. Dion Smits now coming into pit lane. I have a sneaking suspicion that man is going to throw on his qualifying set of tires. I have a feeling after that big spin he had, the flat spots were brutal. He knows that A, not going to be going very quickly. B, probably going to spin again because I have these flat spots. And Richard Whittle, well, he was going well, and then it went a little bit less sort of well. I think the red mist has descended for Kevin Boss, and everybody's an enemy at this point. And this is perhaps an earlier replay for Whittle. And maybe that's sort of, it's just now occurred, and it's everyone's kind of struggling in turn 13. Very difficult corner, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of interesting how maybe he hit the brakes, felt the car unsettle underneath him, sort of lifted off, was like, all right, I'll just carry it wide. You get off the racing surface, you get onto the sandy bit, and it's hard to keep the car in a straight line. With Mr. Octane, the one and only, in the YouTube chat, saying the RAV4 and LMU is awful. For those of you who don't get that joke, A, it's hilarious. B, he's referring to it's another Toyota product, and if they turned the Toyota RAV4 into a race car, it would probably be about as performant as the Toyota has been for him tonight. Mr. Martin Lorenk, the champion, the reigning champion in LMGT3, is here. And Martin, whether or not you could have been here, whether or not you chose to be here, I kind of wish you were, because it has been electric. It has been absolutely electric at the top in LMGT3, an absolute stellar fight. And if you're curious what I'm on about 58 minutes in the race is when it begins. So if you want to go back in the broadcast and check, go to about 58 minutes and just watch for 5 minutes of what these three have got into. It was just superb stuff. And your good buddy Christoph, he's had his work come out for him this evening. One more look at the energies now that they're getting super low. Well, the two fuel saviors, the saving saviors, as I've called them throughout the championship, Kevin Boss and Richard Whittle. It does seem that Whittle might be winning the race ever so slightly by about, I don't know, 0.4%. It's really not a lot, but you know, maybe some good news on their end. But the LMGT3s, the last to sort of stay in, are the top three, and it's going to be decided down pit lane, but maybe not, though. Rimvidis Momkis has sort of been very happy to sit behind, but maybe is coming to a conclusion, Adam, that maybe it's time to start pushing Rybecki a bit. Maybe he's getting too comfy out there. Get his mirror. Show this guy that you have the pace to overtake him.
Yeah, indeed, Momkis has just been kind of sitting there, you know, sitting pretty in the rear view mirror, but, you know, he's not really made too many too many attempts, I think, on the BMW, on his fellow BMW, I should say. Again, I think it's a bit of a fear at the minute. You know, you've still got quite a bit of time left in this race here, and especially with Christopher Streppen still right behind you. We know how quick that Lexus, you know, can be. It did set a 2-minute .9 last time around, just for reference. Both Rybecki and Momkas did 2-minute 1.1. Oh, down in towards turn number 9 once again. That was getting a little bit difficult here. But now Momkas having a look in the rearview mirror, just saying, "I'm here, I'm here." You know, if you try and miss your breaking point, try and miss your breaking point. So that's a really, really good kind of piece of driving there from Momkas, but just again hasn't got the exit. It's really kind of to and fro between these cars, and I really do feel that, you know, Christopher Streppen does have a little bit on the upper hand right now. Of course, I believe Wojciech Rybecki has just hit a purple first sector as well. So, you know, whilst fuel is burning down, tyres are really starting to rubber in. And again, just having a look at those second sectors again, it looks like
Oh,
Verstappen was passing that second sector,
he's
and
going down pit
now
lane.
into the pit lane comes Rimidas Momkas. That is a big
That's
move.
Wojciech
My
Rybecki.
apologies on that one. That was Rybecki. Livery's
Yeah,
confused me.
he's the one. They're all in BMWs. They're all basically the same to me. No, the only reason I knew that it was Rybecki that was going to have to come down first was because of his deficit in virtual energy. So it's not going to be, you know, oh, they're going to be stationary a bit longer, one over the other. No, the other two saved a full lap on Wojciech Rybecki, and this was what I was teasing. This is why I was saying yes, he's leading the race now, but I can pretty much guarantee that when these two come down pit road at the end of this lap, they will be several seconds ahead of Rybecki, and maybe Christopher Streppen is thinking there might be an opportunity here, or if he sniffs an opportunity, let's have it as they're coming into the pit lane. These two possibly did some serious work in the background, some serious math. They're like, this is exactly how much fuel I need. They cannot afford to overfuel. The margins are too thin. Whoever gets it more right, there's Zena Vendrisha, our race leader, getting in between him a bit. So not an opportunity to be sniffed from Verstappen at this point, but whoever gets their numbers right, whoever gets the closest on fuel, whoever is stationary in pit lane the shortest, because the gap is so small, is absolutely going to go the way of the other. I do think, though, I'm thinking that maybe both of these drivers, Verstappen especially, even a bit of pace in the fuel tank, leaving a bit of room for, that's a bit of a wiggle from Vaselli there, but leaving a bit of room for pushing harder later. And here comes Verstappen down pit lane, but just a moment, Adam. It's Rimvidis Momkis who thinks he's got enough fuel. He's starting this lap with about 4% energy. He thinks that's enough that he's going to put 2 laps on Wojciech Rybecki and 1 lap on Christoph Verstappen. This could be make or break.
It could very well be. You know, these are kind of the crunch points in this one. You know, with just about 4%, that could be a massive, massive change here. And that is even going down as we speak into the pits, as we say. Wojciech Rybecki, Christopher Streppen, my apology. We're watching Rybecki now heading in towards the final complex of corners. Yellow flag there. Milan van der Vecker has had a moment. He's dropped down the standings, down to 4th, with Martin Marez now going past him. So drama happening for the Aston Martin team, but where did Rybecki end up? In front of Verstappen, behind Verstappen, behind Verstappen. The Lexus coming out with a big advantage, but I wonder if he's maybe short field just to keep himself in front here. So he's going to have to do a little bit of lifting and coasting, allowing potentially Rybecki to catch up here. Momkas still on 2% left of his virtual energy here, Jack. So I wonder if he's going to be able to make it back to the pits. He must be fuel saving like crazy.
That's going to be the key thing is if he had to fuel save massively coming down towards pit lane as here he is now dealing with Geisler's McLaren just sort of having to get by. If he got his number wrong, he had to lift a bit too much. The advantage he gets from staying out that extra lap could be washed by just the nature of needing to go slower. So we'll see. He's coming down pit lane now, 0.8% virtual energy. He did have enough. He got it right. And uh, when Christoph, him sort of short filling, generally I get a bit nervous when drivers do that, but we saw it last week at Fuji. He absolutely nailed it on his fuel. This is the top four in hyper, not quite lined up as they should be, as Zeno's getting spun. He's getting shot out. Ladies and gentlemen, stop the clock. Marco Badowski in the Cadillac has taken the lead of the race. The big V8, it is not so thirsty that he can't keep it out for an extra lap. See everybody feeding out of pit lane. Now Rimvidus Momkis is off of his jacks. He's dropped down. He's heading towards pit exit. Where is Christopher Streppen? Where is Wojciech Rybecki? What is the gap going to be? Because I think Momkis is going to be ahead, but I'm wondering by just how much. Here's Verstappen coming down now towards turn one, and oh, it is actually extremely close. Hold on, he's got a bit more tire temp. Does Christopher Verstappen? I had no idea it was going to be that close. He's got a bit extra temperature at this point. I guarantee they're both on those old tires. It's not really going to be that much of a difference, but Adam, I think if Verstappen goes on maximum attack here, you can see fuel about the same. So they seem to have the right idea, but I think Christoph's going to go on full maximum beans.
Yeah, he will. He may do maybe a lap or two just sitting behind I said multiple manufacturers in that one. None of them were the one I wanted to say. The BMW, I'm sure he'll do a lot of kind of fuel saving behind that yellow and white car. But again, then after can go straight on. You know, you'd rather be safe than sorry when the checker flag hits. But he's having a look at the gap here up the inside. It just seems like that Lexus was able to turn into some of the corners. And I'm sure that Wojciech Rybecki will be looking at thinking, I pitted first. What is going on? Why am I this far back? So I wonder if there was maybe something that happened in the pit lane here. Comes the Toyota of what looks to be potentially Smithia in the number one. Through they go and on towards turn number 13. And there's some really strong stuff here. Now we're seeing Verstappen being able to pick up the pace here. Really gaining onto the back of Rimvidus Momkis. Will the BMW concede the position at the end of this straight? No, he won't. He will just stick ahead. We're also seeing, I think, Iridius Partes has come into the pits recently as well. Badowski's exiting the pit lane as well. But here comes Christoph Verstappen. Down the main straight they head and on towards turn number one. The BMW V6 up against the Lexus booming engine, and up the inside goes Christoph Verstappen. It's the LMGT3 lead. He covers off the BMW as well. Christoph Verstappen leads here in Sakia.
Oh yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking, is maybe he left a little bit of pace. He left a bit of extra speed in the bag. Christoph Verstappen, though, the move's not done. The fight continues just a little bit down towards turn 4, but that's because of their basically entirely equal fuel length. That extra lap not doing what Momkis wanted. They came out just as close as they were when they both came in for their laps, and now it's just a straight fight. And I feel like because Verstappen got by so quickly, it's kind of dashed all hope for Wojciech Rybecki. Oh, there's Richard Whittle. Maybe not sure where to go, but, well, it was a wrong answer for him, but also kind of the right answer. Nothing went wrong. Everything's fine. A little bit of a code brown for him, I'm sure. But because, you know, I think it's going to keep going the way of Christoph Verstappen and Rybecki. If he has the pace to catch up, it's 3 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but given the margins between these three, it is a big gap to close. See now Whittle making his way through. No drama. Nothing too crazy happening there, but in, well, 3/4 of a lap, maybe a bit closer to a full lap, Christopher Streppens pulled a full second out of the BMW, knowing that he bided his time. Adam, he sat behind these two. Well, he was sat behind one of them for at least the entire race. He was sat behind both of them for a good chunk of it as well. And he said, "Just you wait." He played the long game to perfection, and now it's all but in his hands for the moment in the last 22.
Yeah, indeed it is. You can see the gap just being bridged there by Christopher Streppen. The pure pace in the Lexus is now finally being unleashed. I just wonder if it's kind of the air, the kind of infected air coming off the back of the two BMWs, where he was just kind of sitting in the train and just could not get past any of them. It was a real struggle. And now we're seeing Zeno Andrisha, who we're keeping tabs on here with the BMW on for a fantastic finish. He's still got Martin Vaselli sitting behind him, the early pace setter within the first 2 rounds of the season. Of course, Vaselli then went on to find his, but then of course Zeno Andrisha went on to find his feet, whilst Vaselli started to lose his tap rhythm. And right now we're seeing that that Belgian of Zeno Andrisha really start to spread his wings in a really good position. Will Martin Vaselli find the confidence to come back? Well, he has gone faster in the last time around, 9/10 in fact to the BMW. So maybe expect at some stage during this race, this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. 20 minutes left to go here at the Bahrain International Circuit.
Yeah, the gap was, I'd say, as far as 4 seconds, 5 seconds, really for a while. But after the pit cycle, it's, Martin Vaselli's slowly been clawing this thing back. Lap time being given up here and there. It could be Zeno managing just a bit, knowing that, all right, I can push harder, but I don't want to push if I don't have to. But it also could be another thing of that once they're on the lower fuel, once there's a little bit less tire grip underneath them, the Ferrari might come good again. Sort of been the ugly duckling of the evening, maybe. Most Ferrari drivers out there struggling, but another couple of tenths clawed out on this final lap. And wait a minute, I said job done for Christopher Streppen, but no, it's not job done at all. Rinvidas Momkis found a way to come back through, and I'm almost certain, because Ted Edwards is the GOAT, that we have a replay ready for that moment. But we'll see how things are going to play out, though, through turn 11. Oh, wait a minute! He's tried it multiple times tonight, but he sort of didn't have the run on the way out, and Momkis says, "Nice try, my guy," as he gives him a flash. They run down towards turn 11. Becky now. I said maybe he was too far outside. It's sort of coming back to him. The gap now down about a second, 2 seconds from him. The gap is absolutely minuscule between Momkis and Verstappen. It does seem, though, Rinvidas Momkis, who had a bit more fuel earlier on, now has a bit less than Christoph. So maybe Verstappen knows something we don't. Maybe he knows he needs that extra percent or two. But we'll see how it all pans out in the next 18. Ooh, whoa is right. That was a wiggle and a half, and enough for Verstappen to be able to get by unimpeded. I love it when drivers talk to each other with their flashing of the headlights. Unfortunately, Richard Whittle, to add to the day not going good for Ferrari camp, has DNF'd. So the 4th hypercar to not make it through the finale tonight, Adam, and it's going either way. I don't know. I thought I called it right, but no, I think all 3 of them still have room to improve. All still have room to absolutely battle with each other.
Yeah, indeed. We're just going to have a quick replay here of Richard Whittle in his Ferrari 499P, going up the hill down in towards this, fast sequence onto the curb. Oh no, that's a big unsettling of the car. Lucky not to hit any kind of barriers, but yeah, did not end up in a really good in a good spot whatsoever. Transports himself back to the pit lane, and Richard Whittle, as you say there, Jack, being the fourth car out of this race. I saw another yellow. That might have been from Geisler earlier on before we went into the replay. This is Joe Dorber in the Sol Mercedes. He's heading down the hill, gets a big old tank swapper on. Ooh, just kind of drifts out. So lucky because there is a big tyre barrier waiting for you right on the outside. So it was very, very lucky. And in fact, he's gone so far deep into that corner. He's activated the circuit camera within the game to, be put on the exit of the next corner, which is, I don't really see. I've never really seen that too often. But yeah, to make kind of life worse, he's now up against his Zeno Van Driesche. Van Driesche easily getting through here on Joe Dorber. Of course, as I say, two separate kind of classes as well. So kind of caught Van Driesche in a really difficult spot. But of course, Martin Vaselli had the kind of really nice flow going in towards on towards that straight away. So with 15 minutes, just under 16 minutes left to go, there's still a lot kind of up for grabs here. You've got that battle with Van Driesche and Vaselli. You've got Van der Beek down in fourth, trying to get a podium here and take away from Martin Marez, who I'm pretty sure will have his first podium if all goes to plan. You've also got that big old battle of Christopher Streppen and Ribedes Momkus as well. What about Wojciech Robecki? He hasn't had much. He hasn't had much to say in this kind of second half of the race. He's still sitting at 3.5 seconds back from Christopher Streppen, and Momkus still just toying around with about 1 second to the rear of that Lexus. But BMW needs to start showing their strengths pretty soon if they're wanting a chance in that LMGT3 category.
Yeah, and we're showing the position changes. Entirely ignore what you're seeing in LMGT3. They're just wrong. However, the changes in Hypercar are absolutely correct. Everybody looking pretty green. That is helped by 4 DNFs in your class. However, Milan van der Beek and our pole sitter Dion Smits not having the easiest day so far. I do have to admit, Martin Vaselli, he's looking kind of scary right now. Something has possessed that man because he is running lap times that are very close to the fastest lap in this race. He's taken a handful of tenths per lap out of Zeno Van Driesche, and it's looking like they're going to come across the line. We'll see what the laps look like when they update. That's that's a lot closer, that lap, but trading lap time in that one, maybe just a bit more confident on the brakes, it almost looks like, for Vaselli. They're absolutely equal on virtual energy. No one's fuel saving or the other one isn't. So right now it's just down to pure pace. But if Vaselli keeps driving like this, the mountain that he had to climb, he's almost reached the summit at this point, Adam. He's absolutely found an immense flow in the last sort of 20-30 minutes of this race.
And that's exactly what you want out of your drivers. You want to be able to find that flow. And I think it's also the fact that Zeno Van Driesche is coming across a lot, and I say a lot, of LMGT3, which is going to be very distracting to the eye. But Martin Vaselli makes a little bit of an error going through turn number 9. And could that be the race? Yes, I know there are 13 minutes remaining. But for Zeno Van Driesche, that might be the breath of fresh air that he needs. He's going to have to avoid a lot of LMGT3 right now. Vaselli getting caught behind the BMW there, or Wojciech Rybecki, the Czech driver, getting dispatched pretty, not immediately, but it wasn't quick either. Now, oh no, McLaren involved in there. That's a brave move from Martin Vaselli, and look how much time he's lost in all of that. That was about maybe a second in all of that. That's a big kind of loss out of that entire lap.
It's the most appropriate time so far tonight to say my favorite phrase in LMU. Multi-class giveth, multi-class taketh away. It's given to Zeno Van Drisha. It's taken away from Martin Vaselli this lap, but he has the pace. Does Martin Vaselli, if he is sort of able to continually keep his car in the 47s, the low 48s, I think this gap could be dashed or redashed in no time. But that is a bit unfortunate for him. That's not something you can plan for. That's something you hope that doesn't happen. But it's all part of the game. It's all part of this beautiful, wonderful thing we call multi-class racing, and it's the thing that gets me out of bed every morning. I've left him speechless, I think. I don't think Adam was expecting me to talk about my sleep schedule, so sorry for that. But it's sort of, everything's cooled down a bit. We're at the chilliest parts of the race in terms of action, and no better time than a little bit of V12 showmanship, a bit of V12 noises from inside the cockpit of Milan van der Vecken as he tries to reclaim his position over Martin Mears. I feel like Milan's sort of overtaken and been overtaken by Martin Mears several times this race, and he's hoping that if he can catch him in the last 10 minutes, he can make this final one stick. The engine in this Valkyrie is, I think, one of the best engines put in a racing car in at least the last 10 years. There's been some super interesting engines, some super successful engines, but nothing quite like the showmanship this car experiences. Let's take a road car. All right, let's take the Aston Martin Valkyrie road car. Yes, it is based on a road car. That just makes it all the cooler. That has a hybrid system in it. However, we knew the whole time we were going to rip it out, and then we were going to turn it into a hypercar. A plan that was hatched right when the new LMDH spec was announced. Project got canceled. Then it happened again, and the end result is a car that has captured the hearts and minds of pretty much fans everywhere. I have yet to meet a person who says that they don't like the Aston Martin Valkyrie. I've met some people that maybe say they don't like driving it in sim. That's fair. That's a whole different conversation. But my goodness, it's such a wonderful car, and I hope that it continues to be developed, because for those of you who, like me, watch some North American sports car racing and watch IMSA, it went well towards the end of the season. Listen, Top Step, Valkyrie 2026. Adam, what do we think? Good? Likely? Do we want it?
Honestly, absolutely. I'll love an Aston Martin to be on the podium maybe multiple times throughout the season. I think is a really kind of popular set of team as well behind it as well. One of the drivers, Ross Gunn, a fellow Brit who I've actually met this year at British GT at Silverstone. So really lovely fella. Really great and in great spirits. Well, most of the time. I say most of the time. He's always someone who tends to chat and looks like, that's smits into the barriers. I think that's a wheel loss as well. So a complete change in tone and he's lost the rear out of the final corner.
Oh,
I wonder if he's got caught on the curb and it just spat him into the wall. That is an extremely rare place to have an incident. Let's have a look with the Toyota on the
oh,
outside. Gets
oh,
loses on the marbles. Bang.
oh. And the wheel is out of the
Ouch.
park. Yeah, that's a really, really tough one. And you can see we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. That's understeer, and we're on the sand, and now we spun, and boing. Hey, my wheel. Hey, my rear wing. I guess the good news, if there were to be any, Adam, he's close to pit lane, so at least they don't need to tow him very far. So good news for the marshals, maybe. But that's our fifth DNF in hypercars, sixth DNF in the race, and a 0% finishing rate tonight for the Toyotas. Ooh.
Yeah, really
It's happening.
in that. Yep, it's getting spicy here now. Martin Vesely now hoping to get a potential move here on Zeno Van Driesche. Van Driesche will be put under a little bit of pressure. He moves the car towards the middle of the circuit to just avoid any chances of a late move here from Martin Vesely. Has the Ferrari come alive at what could potentially be the perfect point in this race? With 6.5 minutes left to go, is there a potential mistake there from Zeno Van Driesche? Will he be able to get off the exit, get off the curb here as well? There's some really good stuff here, but Vesely will be absolutely desperate to send a move here. He's gone for it. He's sent the lunge in towards the hairpin. He sticks the nose in, and now Van Driesche has to get the exit, but I don't think he's going to be able to. What about Vesely? Now has put himself on the outside line. He's going to get a little bit of a shove, a little bit of a tap there, but Vesely into the lead with less than 6 minutes remaining.
I need to wipe my jaw off the floor. That was unbelievable. I'm in entire disbelief that Martin Vesely is even in the universe of taking this victory, because if this was just any old race, what a drive. I mean, he's had to work for it the entire time. He was 3 seconds down, I don't know, 5 minutes ago. Maybe a bit longer, because the GT3 is fortunately not tangling with the McLaren this time around. But he's come back like 6 times, and with such an assertive move. You know, usually maybe it's like, all right, I'll wait to do it on straight. Maybe I'll wait to try to do it in turn 11. No, turn 8, final answer. We're going to go 2 wide through 9 and 10. We're not going to make contact. We're going to do make one of the most brilliant moves I've seen at this circuit. And, well, obviously, job's not done. 5 minutes remaining, about 3-4 laps remaining in this race. So there is still to play for, but it's not just any old move. It's not just any old moment of greatness for Martin Vesely. This is for the championship. This is for multi-sprint mania. This is for victory in season 5. And it does seem like Zeno he's found another gear, maybe. He is sort of look a bit composed. The body language of his car looked relaxed, but he is on maximum attack, Adam. He wants this.
I was just about to put in our little chat we have in Discord, but I think that move is probably the most critical move of the entire race, including the drop scores. That maneuver right there that you saw has put Martin Vesely in the lead of the championship by a singular point. He has now just got to survive this race entirely. Half a second here. Will Zeno Van Driesche have anything left in the tank? He was really struggling to get off X's here. It just looks like the car is slightly suffering as well. It just hasn't had the same grip either. We'll have to see what he has in response here. Vesely might just have that little bit of a fresher mind to it, despite, you know, having his own moments during this race. The BMW, the smaller sniffer, is just there, but again, doesn't quite get the exit. But what about down into towards turn number 1 here? Will there be any gaining from the BMW? It doesn't look like it. It's just very slow. There's nothing of any of the exits down in towards turn number 1. He's getting closer, closer, closer. It's going to have to be on the brakes, but again, you just look at the exit. They're just poor as ever. You know, I think the rear tyres are really going on that BMW here, Jack.
Yeah, slow in, fast out. That's the sort of rule that everybody lives by. But Zeno knows that at this point you got to apply pressure. He's aware of the fact Zeno Vandrisha is both these drivers, quite frankly, are at such high level that he knows that he's not going to be able to overtake this guy on pace. He's not going to be able to do it. Well, he's not going to be able to overtake him traditionally. It's not going to be, all right, let me get close, let me sort of find my way through maybe at the end of a straight. No, he knows I need to apply pressure now. I need to force a mistake as soon as possible, and it has to be everywhere. There is no backing down from any of this. But Martin Vaselli, he saved enough pace. He had a spin earlier on. We thought his championship hopes were dashed, but it's an underdog story, a Cinderella story almost. He's basically been staring at the back of this BMW for the second half of this championship. He's only had to settle for second best. Everyone's sort of thinking, 5 and 9, not great. It kind of stinks now. It's kind of a pain in the butt to drive, but Martin Vaselli's stayed with it for multiple seasons, and he's still out here getting the absolute best out of it, but there's such a small amount between them. This is the final lap beginning for multi-sprint season 5. There's 4 or 5 more chances for Zeno Vandrisha. The biggest one is going to be here into turn 1. You can see he's angling his car to go for it, but he's just not close enough. But he is definitely making a run for it. They're about equal on exit. Maybe Vaselli getting the better. We'll see. And you can see bottom middle of your screen what that gap's doing all the time. Vaselli, is he going to go defensive? He's sort of half defensive here, Zeno Vandrisha. Oh, it's a repeat of what we saw earlier on in the race. And around they go. But the absolute greatest bit of sportsmanship you can see. These two fight, but they fight with respect. Zeno Vandrisha knows that's not on. That's not how we win a championship. We don't do that. And Vaselli takes it back from him. However, they still have a bit of opportunity, but that mimicked the exact move we saw earlier on in the race, but it was Vaselli going into the side of Vandrisha. And he spun off of him, but that time it was an exact repeat. But the sportsmanship shown at this high level, at the end of the day, you respect your competitor, and no greater respect than that. And what a way to end this season for Martin Vaselli. What a way for both of them to hit the peak of the mountain, to go over the limit into each other, just to put it all on the line. Adam, it's just, mega. I don't think I have enough words. There's the thesaurus is empty. I don't have enough words to describe how great this is.
You couldn't have scripted it any better. Great relationship on and off the circuit, and a series that had provided such action, but incredibly, out of the final corner, Martin Vaselli will take the championship in hypercar, win the potential drop rounds. It is only provisional at the moment, but what an incredible finish here in hypercar. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Martin Moraes picks up his first podium as well in this championship. After finishing 8th last time out at a difficult Fuji, he comes home to finish P5. This is Joe Dorber in P4, but now we look back here to Christoph Verstappen heading on towards the main straight of the back straight here. It is going to be P4 for Milan van der Wecken, who's had an incredible season. 2 podiums to his name in the Aston Martin, but it's been so up and down for him. Unfortunately for Dion Schmitz, a DNF very, very late on denied him right at the very end. Oh, there's collision with Verstappen, yeah. But the GT3s are just going to go on to the finish.
Yeah, it's Verstappen's one final moment of contention before going for another victory at Bahrain. I almost wish it was for a championship, because what a drive from Christoph Verstappen. What a drive from Rinvidas Mobkus. What a drive from Wojtek Rybecki. The whole top three giving us a show to remember here at Bahrain. But Verstappen takes it across the line. He takes victory. A narrow margin from a race that was all about narrow margins. Rybecki crosses the line third. Joe Dauber is going to end up in fourth. And in terms of championship in the hypercar, that does mean with Van der Vecken's finish in fourth and Dion Smitz's retirement, that does mean that Milan Van der Vecken is going to finish in third place in the championship. There's Daniel Hearn crossing the line. We're going to throw some replays on the screen. And here's Zeno Van Drisha. This was the crash we just saw earlier. That was this was the end of the championship. Just the deepest send you've ever seen. It starts to lock up in the rear, then it starts to lock up in the front. He had nowhere to go. He ends up into the side of the Ferrari, but immediately knows, I've made a mistake. I got to let this guy through, but you can see super late. The fact that he manages to keep it in a straight line while locking, I think, 3 out of the 4 tires that are on that car is super impressive. Immediately lets his rival go through, and pretty much that was it. But one final bit of momentum, and we're gonna have the moment where Joe Dauber got 4th place over Daniel Hearn. This was very late in the race. Final lap, I do believe, but they're coming in. This is towards turn 8 now. It's just going to be an absurdly late move. No, not quite. You can see Dauber looking quicker mid-corner. I surmise a mistake maybe into turn 9. Nope, maybe not. We thought that was the moment. See, give it another go. And here it is. I'm going to guess Dauber on the back coming into turn 1, Adam, and I think a bit of a tricky race for Dauber, but it is a good way to end it down the inside for turn 1. I think we've saw about 30 of those tonight, and it never gets old. It's always a good thing to see, but good Lord, how about that finish?
I think that's might be one of the best finishes we've seen in a long time. We've had plenty of close finishes this season, but to have at one point the hypercar championship contenders be side by side going into a corner. Let's forget about the 3-wheel locking for a second. But yeah, that was just unbelievable. Some really superb stuff, and every driver should be proud of themselves. Here are your hypercar results. Martin Vaselli is your winner and provisional champion. I'm sure everyone here at RCI will be able to get the graphic up, hopefully, to keep an eye out on the official Racing Club International social medias. Zeno Van Drisha coming home second, with Martin Marquez, as I say, picking up his first podium of the campaign. Milan Van der Vecke, followed by Marko Badowski, and then Iridius Partes and Kevin Boss. Means 7 manufacturers in the top 7. Unbelievable stuff there. Jakub Tucky, unfortunately, a lap down with retirements here from Dion Schmitz and Richard Vittel, rounding out your top 10. So only 8 of our hypercars finished this 44 lap race in total after an hour and 20 minutes. And then, we had, I believe it was, as I say, 5 DNFs, including George Barr, Callum Kerrigan, Jakub Tucky. You also saw there some more drivers who didn't participate at all in qualifying. Didn't participate in qualifying. But Jack, I'll hand you over for GT3s.
Yep, but it was as busy in GT3 as it was in hypercar. Christoph Verstappen, the long game sort of maestro. Basically, he played it as long as he absolutely had to. He waited until his perfect moment to strike. Uh, he had to work for it as he did in Fuji, but a bit more. I mean, he was in third for a lot of that campaign, so his fight up to first was one of the best we've seen. Rimvidis Momkis, a driver that's new, one of the newer drivers to the RCI LMU grid, showing the pace, showing that there is uh, it's not going to be given up easily. They're going to come. They're going to try to win races here. Wojtek Rybecki, a driver we know is quick, maybe just getting it a bit wrong in the strategy. Maybe knowing they didn't have the pace on the fuel save, so they said, "Heck, why not just send it out there?" Joe Dauber grabbing fourth in the closing stages from Daniel Hearn, who finished in fifth. Michael Savage finished sixth. Robert Geisler, it's seventh for him on his debut. Definitely a bit of a tricky race, but stuck with it and crossed the line. And Fabian Schmidberger was our one and only retirement in GT3. We do have the provisional final season results that are visible. I will give you the top five in both classes. They are subject to some amount of change, but that's barring any post race penalties. It is Martin Vaselli who took victory in hypercars over Zeno Van Triesche by 1 point, 136 points to 135. And I will halt for just a moment because our brilliant director is going to attempt to get them on screen. So I will give him just a moment to do that. So I'm not just saying numbers and names in your face. You have a little bit more to reference. Adam, I was going to ask, I sort of had planned to ask, what was the race of the season? Uh, I, I think there's no competition. It's this one. And if you say anything else, you're wrong. But here are the standings in front of you from SimGrid. You can see the points delta is well, it's one between the two at the top. Milan van der Vecken, he did keep his podium position, 104 points to him through a season that was maybe a bit more of a struggle than he wanted to. I think a few less mistakes, and he could have been in a much better position for the championship. Dion Smits is in third. Martin Mares is in Dion Smits is in fourth. Martin Mares is in fifth. Thomas Kauberg, sixth. Badowski, seventh. Kevin Boss finishes eighth. Octane and George Barr finish in ninth and 10th. And there's some other names. But unless you're in the top 10, I don't get to say your name. Them's the rules. Um, hey, look, that's my name. Guys, I finished 16th. I did it. I did it. And I'm disqualified because I signed out of the championship. We are now going to pull up the LM GT3 standings, and Mr. Martin Loring, he didn't even bother showing up today because he didn't even need to. The championship was his as of last week. He did join us on the stream in the YouTube chat as well, so we obviously appreciate that. Joe Dauber, it shows that maybe you don't need to be the fastest guy, but if you're consistent and you show up enough, you can barely, just barely, scrape a second place over Wojciech Rybecki by a singular point yet again. And as you can see, those slashes, the strike throughs are a dropped result. Everyone gets a drop round. Obviously, the rounds that didn't show up, that is their drop round. So that is how the points are calculated. Fabian Schmidberger finishes in fourth with 99. Christopher Streppen, you could see that maybe if he was available and racing in the first three rounds, championship might not have been so open and shut for Martin Loring. Maybe that's something to look forward to for next season. Zach Vermack finishes in sixth. Rimvidis Momkis, seventh. Another driver that maybe full season show out. There might be a three-way fight for the lead. Emo Platts finishes in eighth. Daniel Hearn in ninth. And Michael Savage finishes in 10th. As I said before, some other names. I won't read your name unless you get in the top 10 or unless you have my name. Them's the rules officially now. But hey, look, I'm not allowed to say his name. I already I made there's the rules, and even the Gillmeister doesn't is not separate from my own ruling. Adam, now that I'm done, and well, not I guess now that we're both done throwing numbers and names together, and that you've been able to take a breath, since I know we both desperately need one. Series on a whole, first go in the box entirely, for an entire season rather. How was it? Give me a rating out of 10.
Uh, well, I've covered it. I think I've covered an entire season on RCI before, that being the Mini British GT Championship. So,
Sorry, first LMU championship is what I was referring to.
LMU, honestly, awesome. You know, there's so much potential for that to kind of go very, very far. I do kind of wonder maybe if it'll kind of have a whole esports championship behind it. So maybe some of the best LMU drivers will go up against each other. You know, maybe in front of an entire audience. I'll be interested to see kind of what the team behind LMU decide to do with it. You know, it's got so much. As I say, prosperous behind it. So, you know, it's been awesome. You know, the multi-class racing is also what I've been looking for as well. It's, you know, it's really, really great to see this kind of simulator being played on, and how much, you know, people are enjoying it. I think that's kind of the main factor that I've been wanting to look at. So overall, I've loved this season. Probably, you know, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. I think I'll definitely be back at some point to cover more LMU.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to have you as well. I mean, I'd say I did the whole thing, but no, I briefly fancied myself. Oh, I've watched him enough. Let's see how good I am at driving a hypercar. The answer: thoroughly mediocre, bordering on pretty bad. But my absence, I'm sure, wasn't missed too much. Everybody got treated to one of the goats himself, Mr. John Dalton. And as we are coming to it, I believe we have an interview with none other than Mr. Jakob Tucky. If he's not quite here. I jumped the gun a little bit early. There he is. I just didn't bring him in here. Mr. Jacob Tucky. Sorry, I have to introduce you
Hello.
twice because I'm a complete plum sack. But how was that?
You mean like the race?
Yeah.
This race was good. I almost did the best lap of my life if not GT3s or basically going off track in one corner.
Listen, at the end of the day, you called that you were going to Grosjean yourself, and you didn't. I'm very proud of you. I think all of
Thanks.
us here in the booth are proud of you. But
My goal was not to repeat that.
well, there you
And
go.
not to repeat
And
Fuji.
that is you didn't. You did better. How does it feel? I know that sort of this season, because of the new hypercar tires, have been an adjustment for just about everyone. How has it been for you? Has your journey been sort of relearning the hypercar in LMU?
Well, honestly, I drove some hypercars before that, but it was like maybe 10 hours and was pretty long ago. I generally started maining hypercars only because of that league. It started because I saw that there are free spots in hypercars and no free spots in GT3, and I was just like, okay, I'm going for hypercars.
I think that's a fair enough reason. I don't think there's anything
Yeah.
wrong with that.
And right now I
But
race hypercars everywhere.
I was gonna ask, have you been converted? And I'm super excited to hear that. I think there needs to be more
Yeah, I
hypercar
converted
drivers
to them.
everywhere.
Actually, I know I'm driving terrible, but I'm into sim racing for less than a year yet. But my dream would be to drive in real WEC with hypercar exactly.
Heck yeah. I think everybody here wishes that, and you know what?
Would be
I'd
nice.
say with your progression from start of this season to end, absolutely
Yeah,
super
I
super stellar
remember the
strides.
Monza. Still remember spinning out every corner.
Does it
Right
haunt your
now,
dreams?
yes. Right now, the thing that kills me mostly is my wheel because this Logitech after 1 year is dying. Like my throttle is randomly pressing itself for like even 70% in the middle of corner.
Well, if you're in need
So
of if recommendations for new
yeah,
hardware,
I'm
Moza
already
Racing's a good one.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
already planning to buy Moza R12.
there you go.
I already have half of the budget for that.
I run Moza as well, and it's outside of them being an RCI partner, they are absolutely stellar. So I cannot sing their praises
But
enough.
I'm planning to buy Moza for a long time already, and like I said, I already have half of the budget for that.
There you go.
So nice. But
Post season and then some present is what we call that. Mr. Reed, any questions for our? I'm just gonna say our most improved driver of the season. You get that award.
Uh, Honestly, nothing from me. Just want to say a big congratulations. It's been, an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see your progression come maybe potentially into next season as well.
I'll try my best. Probably would have done better times today if I wasn't driving on the default setup. I'm
Perfect.
basically stealing setups from my team. They provide us setups for free, and I'm just using them in the races.
Oh man,
But it's
if you need recommendations for setups, let me know.
Uh,
wow.
I need to.
I'm shilling hard.
I'm trying to complete all these setups, and right now I'm looking for Portimao because I have Portimao tomorrow.
Ooh, are you
Yeah,
not doing you're not doing Barcelona this weekend?
yeah, I'm doing Barcelona at Sunday with team.
Heck yeah. Well, best of luck on that, and thank you so much for joining us
Yeah,
for a quick
I'm
little
surely
post season interview.
if I'll be fast enough, I'm surely gonna join next season.
I
I
think you
just
should
need
join
to wait for it.
regardless. I don't think pace matters. I think you should join us.
Meant like if I be fast enough, like there will be 3 spots left.
Oh, yeah, that is true. It does fill up quick, and don't be afraid to go for a reserve slot as well. Very
I'll
regular
just
reserve
convert
slot.
to GT3s again.
No,
If
no,
that's
you're
good.
stuck. You're stuck in a hypercar. I will make sure you
Uh,
get signed out if you drive a GC3. You're banned. That's
I'm
not
kind of
true.
mad
I'd never do
that
that.
my livery didn't work for the Imola. I'm still mad about
Well,
this one. I
you
wanted to
got
run
it.
this livery.
Well, that's what next season's for. Improvements everywhere in driving,
Believe me,
in livery presentation. Everything is good. But we got a couple more interviews
okay.
left to do, so I'm gonna let you go. Any quick shout outs before we send you off?
Personally, I think nope. I don't have anyone to do that.
Not even me.
Okay, shout out for you. I won't.
Yes.
I won't give shout out.
I'm gathering shout outs now
Okay, nice.
from
I'm not.
from drivers.
I'm not. Definitely, I'm not giving shout out for my crush. Would be
Sure.
nice if she finally read the messenger. Well, see ya.
Well, thanks again so much for having us here. And
Yeah.
Mr. Reed, there's a Mr. Rybecki who would like to speak to you or vice versa.
Greetings.
I can take it away. Hello, welcome in. First of all, how are you feeling now that the season is over? You've had a fantastic season.
Uh, well, first of all, I would like to thank you for this championship because I always have a lot of fun in those Friday championships. Uh, every time I find someone to battle with and have amazing races, so yeah, I'd like to thank you for that. Uh, Season went by pretty quickly, if I may be honest. It feels like yesterday when we started on Monza, if I'm correct.
Mhm.
But yeah, like every race, I had a fun. I was always happy to just finish without crash or anything. So yeah, and here I feel it was like my best race, to be honest, because having I wouldn't expect at the beginning that I would have like battles with Chris throughout the race. So yeah, the season and this race as well, they were pretty fun. And yeah, I'm I'm still a little bit uh, sweating, and after the race, I have still a bit of adrenaline because it was a tough battle with both of the drivers. But yeah, like it's been amazing fun as always here on RCI. So
Yeah, amazing. I think a lot of our viewers would love to hear kind of your insight into, that little tussle with, yourself, with Christoph, and of course your other kind of BMW teammates. Tell us how it was from your perspective. Unfortunately, kind of fell off uh, at the pit stops, but overall, I think you must have really enjoyed that battle.
well, knowing the start, like the starting of Lexus, which is probably its like weakest point, I kind of knew that I will be into the first corner ahead of Chris. So that happened as expected. Then it was the more difficult part. Hold Chris behind me because that's not as easy. Because knowing Chris, he's incredibly fast and incredibly tough to defend. But yeah, uh, it was a big difference of cars because he was chasing me in second sector where there's like more corners, but on the straight line, the Lexus was just like fading away. Yeah, if only I didn't panicked with fuel adding. I added myself 1 lap more fuel because the estimated lap count was like 41 laps. So I panicked and I added 1 lap of fuel like more, which I think cost me a possible lead. But in my opinion, I was really happy to just survive the attacks from Chris. But it's as always, like it's great battles with him. I always enjoy when we can go side by side with each other. He's like one of the like probably the most fair driver that I met so far. So yeah, and it was pleasure to race with him as well.
Absolutely. And what are your potential plans for next season?
I mean, uh, if there's gonna be uh next kind of like VEC series championship, I might try hypercars.
Do it.
Be- because
Do it.
because I'm gonna be honest, sometimes it's not really funny to get bullied by the faster class. So I would like to try for at least one season to be the one bullying instead of getting bullied, if you know what I mean. So
That's the
yeah,
best explanation I've heard for wanting to drive a hypercar ever. Thank you.
so yeah, for next season I might try faster class. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but I mean, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And finally, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Well, first of all, I would like to shout out to RCI staff, broadcast, stewards, everyone behind the the community. You do always great job, whether it's one-off events or championships. Throughout the years that I've been driving here, I almost probably never had like bad ex- bad experience with like any of the events. So I would like to shout out to RCI in general. Then of course my mom, which is basically always watching the RCI streams. she's actually the one pushing me to sign up for the events that are broadcasted. And yeah, big shout out to my mom, my family, friends that are watching, cheering on me. They're the reason that I'm still circling around on virtual tracks.
I think it goes without saying, but thank you for joining us. I'm glad you gave such honestly just such a glowing review. We just need to like take that and ship it to everybody. Hey, why should you come race at RCI? It's some of the best racing you ever get, and thank you so much for joining a season. I think you should drive a hypercar just because hypercars are awesome. I'm so biased towards the top class and be the bully sometimes. Maybe I mean you don't have to be a bully, but like I wouldn't, you maybe a little bit, maybe just a tad. But thanks for coming in with an interview. Thank you for spending another season here with us, and shout out to your mom as well. And I don't know, maybe you need to get her a sim rig. Maybe you need to get her in the car and send her out for some multi sprint. That'd be mega. That would be mega. But no, we are going to move on to our penultimate interview with none other than the man himself, the reigning champion here, coming out of Multi Sprint Season 5, Mr. Martin Vaselli. Welcome to the box. And how do you feel right now?
So, guys, hello. Yeah, I'm feeling first.
Sorry, Martin, is there any chance are you able to move your microphone closer to you or anything? You're very quiet right now. I can't quite hear
Yeah.
you.
Is it better now?
Significantly. Wonderful. All right, how do you
So
feel?
once again, hello to you and to all the people on the stream. Yeah, I'm feeling nice because I won the championship, obviously. And yeah, it was nice race, this one, and all the other. I really enjoyed this whole season because it was nice to race with so many people, competitive and fair people who knows how to do wheel to wheel, right? Fighting. So yeah, that was good one season.
It did go a little over the edge on the final lap, just a hair. But no, I loved the sportsmanship between you and Zeno. It's always hard but fair, and he went over the limit, so he let you back
Yeah,
through.
I think we both went over the limit because it was me who almost crashed out both of us at something like first laps, like lap 10. And then obviously at the end of the race. But yeah, these things sometimes can happen. And yeah, the most important thing is that it was like nothing bad happened after that. Nothing like bad words, and stuff like that. We made it out. Okay, he was fair to let the position as well on the last lap, which was really nice from him. And yeah,
Any plans for next season? I know you've been championing the Ferrari hypercar for a while. Is it maybe time for a change, or are you gonna stay where you are?
well, I don't know because since the update with the tire model, I've been studying like so much, like a lot. I lost like 1 second from before the update, so I don't really know if I even want to drive hypercars anymore because I'm really having a lot of problems, especially on the brakes. Like every race is the same. I have so many problems with braking, and no matter what car I drive, it's always the same problem. So I don't know.
Well, my recommendation is going to be the same for everybody else, which is drive a hypercar anyways. But obviously, it's up to you. It'd be great to see you in something else. Maybe take your talents to the GT3 field, see if you can run it with the big boys, the Martin Lawrences, the Christopher Strappens. wonderful to see. But no, it's been such a pleasure to have you for this entire season, giving us some great races. And the way this race played out for throughout the entire thing was such a joy to watch. So thank you, especially
Yeah,
for that
I
as
agree.
well.
Yeah.
And any final shout outs, any final words from a champion before you go?
Well, I would like to say that I really appreciate the work you guys are doing, obviously, because the streams are really nice to watch back and even live. I think people must be having a nice time looking at the fights we have, and the races must be so enjoying to watch. And obviously, shout out to the people who made this possible, that this league can happen. So I think these people deserve to be mentioned as well, because they are not seen, but they are doing a lot. And yeah, also the people taking a part in these races, those who race, so they deserve it as well, because they keep it clean and put up a great show to watch. So they deserve it too. And who else? I don't know. Maybe my parents. And yeah, I think that's it.
Well, thanks so much for coming and joining us for an interview. And I do have to say, I was warned before. You said your English wasn't very good. Your English is fantastic. I would just like
Yeah,
to point out.
I
So
appreciate.
don't push yourself down that way. But thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for joining for an interview. Thank you for a fantastic season. Of course, we look forward to seeing you in the next rendition of Multi Sprint. I'm sure that'll be immediately up and running. Maybe you guys will get like 2 or 3 weeks, but we'll be right back to it sooner rather than later. But yeah, thank you to you, and best of luck in the off season and all that. Now I'm gonna have a quick final chat with the most patient man on the planet, Mr. Milan van der Vecken, the V12 savant. May I call you?
Yeah, you can call me that definitely. That's definitely the car that I like the most, and I'm the fastest with.
It seemed like a bit of an up and down season. The Valkyrie's kind of been an up and down car for BOP. Coming into this season, it was kind of crap. It wasn't crap. It was decent. It was fine. But it sort of come back good. It seems like such a circuit dependent car. But do you like it as much, or maybe you like it more than when you started this season?
Yeah, of course, because because when the VOP changed and the car was lighter, the drivability became better. So I was more confident in the car, and my pace was a lot better and a lot more fun to drive. So yeah, it was really fun to drive with a lighter car.
I have a burning question. So it was early on in the race. You kind of pulled off the circuit a bit going down towards
Yeah.
turn 8. Was that a team decision? Was that a let's
No,
give
no, no, no,
Zeno the
no.
best chance he can?
No,
No?
no,
All
no,
right.
no. That was I don't know how, but suddenly black screen popped up my screen, and I had to pull off and tap back in my game. So it was a technical issue with my PC. Yeah, I don't know how it happened, but I tapped out of my game.
Well, then I gotta say, I'm very impressed that you managed to do it in the most safe
Yeah,
way I've ever seen. Because if that were me, immediately into a wall. I'm taking out 15 cars. I'm freaking out immediately. So,
yeah.
well,
I
there we
couldn't
go.
see anything, so I don't know how I did that.
You just sort of pulled off to the side, like on the run between 7 and 8. You just sort of pulled off the side, slowed down, and then just started going again. It looked like it was intentional. That's why in the box we thought it was maybe some team play right there, but no,
No,
instead it was the
no, no,
the
no, no.
best I guess outcome for what could have been a very terrible accident. I feel like it's kind of pointless, but I'm going to ask you this anyway. Plans for next season? Is it the Valkyrie? It's got to be the Valkyrie,
99% of a chance.
right?
But If the BOP is really shit again, I'm gonna think of the Genesis. Yeah, that's also a big chance, the Genesis, but most likely the Valkyrie.
Well, we're not gonna miss it screaming down the field. Granted, if you're not in it, someone else probably is, but you're the most consistently. You are the best sounding driver on the RCI LMU grid. That is the award you're getting.
Yeah,
Slightly confusing and convoluted, but no. We appreciate the noise your car makes. We appreciate what you do when you're in it. Always some great racing from you. Any final words, any shout outs you want to make before you go?
yeah, for sure. I want to shout out my bros with I race with, and that's Zeno, Dion, and Thomas. They always keep my head up and let's go forward. Yeah, and for sure also the other drivers and the RCI staff. Without them, there wouldn't be a race. So
It's very. I'd say without them, without them, there wouldn't be a race indeed. But thank you so much for joining us for the end of season interview. Thank you to everyone else who joined us in the box. Adam, as we're about to tie this season up with a bow and end it off, any final words from you? Any wisdoms? Any secret plans to join the grid?
I'm surprised you came up with that because yeah, absolutely not. I'll be sticking in the comms box probably, knowing me. But you know, it's been a big kind of pleasure to cover this. You know, this grid. It's been you know, incredible to be a part of. I think, you know, we've got something really good going here as well. You know, there's been so much positivity around LMU. And I think it can really, you know, go so far. I you know, I can really already sense and tingle maybe a season 6 of MS behind our backs. So you know, expect that to come very soon, which I'm sure you'll be able to see on all of our social medias at RCI TV. But overall, you know, this has really kind of fueled me up for, you know, any more LMU kind of experiences that are, you know, to come.
Well, it's good news. We've converted another. And before I say my final words, we have a special message from none other than Ted Edwards. Mr. Edwards, you have the floor. My gosh, Ted, I'm gonna cry. That was so
I was muted that whole
sweet.
time, but that's fine. I'm
Oh,
unmuted now,
Oh
so
my
that went out the
god.
window.
oh, oh.
That's very
No.
The
embarrassing.
floor is yours, Mr.
And it's not just you guys that
Edwards.
are in here. There's also these drivers that just did the interviews. That's pretty fun. I just want to. Right, I'll start again. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's raced here over the past 5 seasons. Because without you guys, we wouldn't be streaming this with me as a broadcaster and obviously Jack and Adam as our commentators, and also Ryan um, puts a lot of effort into this, try and work out how to do different tracks for each series. So it's thank you very much to all the drivers. I want to say as well, thank you to all the viewers who watch our streams. Without you, there would be no point in doing streams, and without the streams, we wouldn't have the drivers showing off their liveries, either that in their own funky liveries, I ride Becky with his bit of anime on there, or our team liveries that we see every now and then, especially in the hypercars today. So without you guys, without the drivers, RCI wouldn't be able to do all this sort of thing.
Well, thank you, Ted, because quite frankly, these streams would be nowhere without you, of course. I mean, I could maybe come in and do like half as good a job, it wouldn't be great. So, of course, thank you to you for keeping everything pretty. And before I wrap up, I will reiterate everything that Ted said. Thank you to the drivers. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you for the RCI staff. Special thanks to the boys that run the social medias. They put in back-breaking work every week to make sure that we are reaching as far and as wide as we can, get the best drivers, best grids, and best looking stuff everywhere. And of course, if you are interested in joining any of the grids, joining the Discord, hanging out, joining any staff position, anything, it's all in the description below. Links to everything at the very least. Even if you don't even intend on driving, you just want a nice community to hang out in, you can just join the Discord. Come spend some time with us, chat with drivers, chat with whoever. Everybody is unbelievably friendly here. I cannot sing their praises enough. And right before we wrap this thing up, a special final thank you to our partners here at RCI. And, well, our lives would be just a little bit more difficult without all of them helping us out from time to time. And I will start off with Ready, Set, Sim. Where if you are in the business of building the sim rig of your dreams or your budget, go no further than Ready, Set, Sim. If you are looking, I shouted them out earlier. I shilled just a little bit towards Moser Racing earlier on, and I stand by it. If you're looking for new direct drive hardware, they are the place to go. Super high quality stuff, pricing that's just puts all other sim manufacturers to shame. I don't know how they make things as cheaply and as good as they do, but they are wonderful. If you're looking for setups or coaching or anything to help you climb the sim racing ladder, head over to Coach Dave Delta. Everybody knows faster lap times begin with Delta. Their information and everyone else's information is in the description below. Thank you to Green Man Gaming, where if you like saving money, as everybody does, save on new releases for PC titles and not just sim games. Everything you find on there, they have lots of savings. They run lots of specials all the time. So check back with them regularly to get a deal. Thank you to Pimax. They are the place to go if you want the best clarity and the highest resolution in terms of virtual reality headsets. Racing in VR is actually awesome. I do it fairly regularly. It makes me slower for some reason, but that's a skill issue because I know some people are absolutely rapid. And if you're looking for the best in the business, head over to Pimax. We do have an exclusive discount with them if you follow our link. And for one final time, for one final special thank you for this season of Multi Sprint, thank you to Motorsport UK for having us as a recommended esports community. Wrap it up, tie it with a bow. Seems like it's just like the end of us for RCI, but no, of course, this is just the end for multi sprint. We still have our Monday championship going on. We're still tearing our way through ACC. We're just reaching the end of our penultimate championship on that, the Cup Car Cup. If you like Cup cars and you want to do Cup Car multi-class, go join the grid. That is on Mondays. And as Adam alluded to, multi sprint should be back in the near future. And if it's not multi sprint, it's something on LMU. And I'd give it 2-3 weeks, probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks, so we have information on that. So get excited, join the grid. They do fill up super fast. I think the past sort of two seasons, they filled up almost immediately. You maybe get 2 days, 3 days to find a slot in the grid. If you don't make it in time, do sign up in a reserve slot because if not everybody shows up, your ticket might get punched and you might get let in to a session. But that is all from us here on Racing Club International for this evening. I've been Jack Mays, joined by Adam Reed. Ted Edwards has been our goat in as a race director, as the man who makes everything pretty and fights to keep everything looking good, even when he messes up, even when he says the sweetest thing I've ever heard him say and he left himself muted. We've all done it. I've done it. I do it more than he does. He's one of the best out there. No funny weird things for me tonight. I'll just leave it on a great note and a great season. Thank you to everybody. Be safe. Uh, treat yourself well, and I deeply look forward to seeing you all soon.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow. Go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive.